And we're now officially live. Welcome to another episode of our standard lore ramblings. The name is Adam. I'm hearing a distress beacon, acoustical, 12-second intervals. It's not of this world. I wonder if I should investigate by putting my face in front of that egg.
I'm here.
Okay. For a minute there, I thought I was about to get my face ripped off by a giant monster. Or, visibly destroyed by a parasitoid. So, yeah, with that in mind, we are talking about the Alien RPG, although I'm also going to talk about the... Let's open up with the reason that we're doing this, because I want to rant about the Alien Romulus trailer a little bit. You okay with me ranting a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure.
So, my first problem with the Alien Romulus trailer, it showed, it was like 2 minutes. It's very clearly, it's mostly stuff from the third act. That's not a good sign. It is almost completely from the third act. It's pretty apparent that it is. You want to know another hit film that did that? John Carter, the other Disney flop that involved science fiction that they got the rights to. That's not going to go well. And I'm saying this as a person who, allegedly the person making this did make good work. The first Evil Dead remake and some other horror movie that they made was pretty good. At least from what I've heard. I didn't really bother watching the Evil Dead remake. I just wasn't interested.
I mean, I'm pretty sure the guy who's making it can act or can direct, but the issue is just going by the synopsis of it, it's alien isolation.
Well, yeah, because they're just ripping off from other more famous things. Speaking of which, you know something I really hate about the last three Alien movies that came out? Ridley Scott's delusional, arrogant insistence that the stupid alarm blare gets used. See, here's the thing. I don't think of that as the iconic alien stinger. It never was. It was only used in the first movie. You know what I think of when I think of the alien, like an alien sound that I would call iconic? That clunking noise that James Cameron did for Aliens. Also, they don't even use it right, because what it's paired with in the original trailer is a ticking clock element, like you hear a ticking element that mimics very fast heart rate. I'm sorry, I just think that stupid alien Blair alarm effect is overused, and that is not remotely iconic. That is a skinwalker inhabiting a corpse. Don't like it. Another problem I had with the Romulus trailer is I feel like the facehuggers just moved too fast. Like, you see them kind of moving, and it felt like CGI slop. There's no scuttling. Yes, they are fast. They can propel themselves and, latch on your face, but not like that. They didn't.
Yeah, not.
You didn't like that either?
No, I remember I saw it. I'm like, there's something about it that's off. Just something off-putting. Like if it was the flood from Halo,
Yeah,
yeah, that
it
would
would
work.
work perfectly. If this was like a Halo movie and you told me those were flood infector forms, I'd be like, oh, okay.
But I think it's more because just the tension of it.
The
The
tension
tension with
is
Alien
wrong.
it is slow. Even Aliens, despite being more action film, have that slow tension, that slow build up, and then the alien swarm emerges, and then
Once
you're
it
fucked.
starts, it doesn't stop, but it takes about an hour to get there. Even Alien 3, a lot of people hate that one, and I don't blame them, because the first 10 minutes is genuinely a gut punch. But if you watch the assembly cut, even it takes its time to show, well, they call it the dragon. But again, that's more due to producer interference, which is something I'm fully expecting for Alien Romulus. As for
The
what I saw in
the
terms
other thing
of
with
like the
Alien
casting,
3.
what are you mentioning?
Oh, sorry, go ahead. I was going to talk about it. I was going to talk about Alien 3, but go ahead.
Oh, okay. As for the casting, honestly, the only thing I'd probably complain about is that the main character is very clearly trying to evoke Ellen Ripley, which that's a bad idea. Make your own character. If you're gonna make a female character, make it your fucking own. You know, Aliens actually had actually had a couple of excellent female characters. The most well-known being Vasquez, but oh, what's her face? I forget her name. Captain Farrow. I think her name was Farrow. She was a minor character. She was the pilot that basically her big scene is getting killed by the alien in the giant dropship. Because there's a great moment where you see her personality. She sees this horrible 7-foot tall abomination that is just staring at her, drooling and hissing and about to kill her. And you know what her response to basically facing death is? She calmly pulls out her sidearm to just start blasting. She knows she wasn't going to live, but she tried.
The other thing, though, I feel like what might work with Romulus is the fact that it is taking place on a spaceship.
Well, yeah, because they're stealing isolation. I'm not impressed by that.
They are, but I mean, at least it's better than Prometheus or Covenant, where there was more openness to it. Alien works when you're in a claustrophobic, closed environment where you cannot escape.
Partially, because the alien itself is almost, well, I mean, it's based, not entirely, like, it was completely accidental, but it was based on parasitoid wasps. But,
Oh, really?
well, they didn't know about it. The guy who wrote it, Dan O'Bannon, never heard of them, never heard of jewel wasps, but they're very much like that. He was, actually, the funny thing is the alien went through so many design feature overhauls, but, yeah, essentially, the claustrophobic element might work. I will say another aspect of the trailer that made me go, oh, this is going to be more of that third act Alien Covenant fucking shitty slasher film thing. Comes in the form of, there's a bit where you see all of the blood splatter. Like, you see all the blood splatter in that hallway. That's just
I'm trying to remember. I don't think I remember that.
It's a blink and you miss it. It does a stupid panning shot in a CGI corridor in the Romulus space station, and you see one of the hallways, and you hear alien screams and people screaming, and you see like nothing but blood on a wall. Yeah, no, that reminds me too much of the Covenant shower scene. That was fucking stupid. I don't expect it to be good.
I believe they completely abandoned all the plot threads for Covenant.
That's actually a good thing, and that's actually since you mentioned Covenant. Speaking of which, let's actually talk about the RPG that we're covering. Free League's Alien, the role-playing game, which very unfortunately was made and written when Covenant came out. This has a negative effect on some of the stuff in this book. God, I hated Alien Covenant. That's actually one of the first film. That's actually one of the very few films that I genuinely walked out of effectively, although it was at the end.
I watched Prometheus and I watched Covenant, or at least I tried to watch Covenant last night, and I just walked out halfway through.
It's insulting trash.
I'm just like, the fuck is going on?
Well, you see, what happened is Ridley Scott is a bitter asshole who thinks he's smarter than he really is because he's read the great Western works, and he thinks that he's smarter than you, and he has nothing but contempt for you. So what he did, when faced with the fact people did not like his poorly scripted, shittier iteration of Alien Engineer, which, by the way, if you're wondering why Prometheus is a bit of a shit show, yeah, it's because the original script was an order of magnitude better, and then they got David Lindelof, of Lost infamy, to fucking write the remake of it. To, connect it to more of the scam fraudster, what was his name? Some German guy named Daniken's concept of ancient aliens. By the way, they legitimately tried as hard as they could to hammer home that Jesus was an alien in that fucking movie.
Wait, what?
They actually were going to put scenes in that. Thankfully, the producers balked at it, but they were so smug about the concept, and I'm just like, no.
Oh, that explains the Christianity angle.
No.
Oh,
You want to know what movie did that better? It was a film called Alien 3 with the double Y chromosome serial killers in their prison. That handled
yeah,
religion an
that's
order of magnitude better than Prometheus ever fucking did.
um, interesting with Alien 3 is that ripped alone and ignore my big rant then. So I don't understand why Prometheus and Covenant tried to make the engineers a main, basically the creators of the alien. To me, it just doesn't make, I don't know, narrative sense. At least how I see it, the alien just exists. There's no, there's no origin. There's no nefarious scheme with them besides Weyland-Yutani and whatever other corporation wants to use them. They are a native organism in the universe. Humanity just happened to stumble upon them. I look at them as like an invasive species, or, for instance, when the Europeans brought syphilis to the Old World after coming back from the uh, New World. It just exists. And unfortunately, it's very lethal and very dangerous. The ship that they stumble upon on LV-426 just has them. The jockey just has them.
The
And I feel like
dragon has
that's
been
much more of a
successfully
terrifying
contained.
horror.
Are you mentioning about
So,
horror? Sorry about that.
as I don't like how in Prometheus and Covenant they decided to make the engineers the origin of the alien.
Oh, I completely hate the
I
redesign of the engineers to be giant blue men. That was fucking stupid.
um yeah, I don't get why the
Do
alien
I sound better
had.
now? At least in the original script, they changed it.
Oh wait, are they? Oh, were they saying that the engineers were actually the original inhabitants of Earth?
No, they weren't. They were going with the concept that they created life, like that's one of their things they liked doing. And as for why they were not happy with humanity, it's because they were kind of the closest to what they were hoping for. Also, originally Alien Engineer was a far smarter fucking movie than what we got, because guess what? It wasn't just they created life on the planet. What they did was they kick-started evolution. They basically kicked us from the jump to Australopithecine to man. Like they gave us that final spark to become sentient.
Yeah, also, people are saying there might be some issues with the stream starting and stopping.
Oh my god! Oh my fucking god!
Just pray to the machine spirits.
Okay, do I sound a lot more clear?
You sound clear. The issue is, is everyone having
I,
a
I,
connection to the stream?
I fucking God fucking damn it!
Eh, it, it may be that people do not want us to be reviewing this. Internet went
Is
out
the
with me yesterday.
is the stream more stable now?
I'm viewing it, and it seems stable for me. So I'd say we should probably start actually going into the book.
I'm honestly sorry about this. For some reason, every aspect of this fucking stream. If you're wondering what happened, every now and again, I have to reset my Wi-Fi. For no reason. It throws a fucking tantrum until you do that. and I had to do that. I was afraid I might have lost the stream for a bit there. I am honestly sorry for this. I don't know what the fuck is going on this day.
Yeah, people are saying it seems better. So strike while the iron's hot.
Okay, so here's a map of the setting. This is a bit creative. I think it's using new canon at least somewhat. There are actually 4 different types of nations, essentially. There's the Union of Progressive Peoples, which actually I think came from one of the many scripts for Alien 3. The Three Worlds Empire of Anglo-Japanese Arm, that actually was something that was in the original Alien movie, if I recall, at least in the background.
Well, it's to explain Wayland Yutani.
Yes. United Americas came about from aliens. And the independent core system colonies are just corporates. And the frontier is just stuff that is new. But, one more thing before we, I just want to quickly say that I genuinely think Prometheus doesn't look as good as people actually claim it is. I think it looks kind of generic sloppy. If you get what I mean.
But you don't understand the symbolism. It's a metaphor.
Also, if you're wondering, this is a 2-page spread, so it's a bit, in the book form, it's a lot cleaner. Like I said, I'm sorry if this stream is a bit of a fucking nightmare, guys. It should clean up now. Space is hell. No, streaming is hell. I'm gonna disagree with you, book. Oh, man. Alien Dark Descent. I've only heard about that one. I've never actually touched it.
You're referring to Isolation.
No, there's also Alien Dark Descent, which is another game.
Oh.
So
I may have to check.
there's a bunch of chapters. It starts from Space is Hell. That one's going to be kind of unpleasant because it uses a lot of stuff from Alien Covenant and Prometheus. Then it's character creation, the skills that you have, moves on to your talents, combat and panic, and then your equipment. It also describes the setting somewhat, and your job as fucking Christ, game mother. I'm tired of RPGs doing this.
Get it? Get it? It's a reference to the first movie.
God damn
it. Also, should they spell it with a U then?
No. Also, governments and corporations, which talks about the different ones. Again, the Union of Progressive People was actually from a script. Actually, one of the things I will give credit to this book is it does incorporate, because Alien 3 plays around with faith. That's a thing, because one of the many scripts for Alien 3 was it was originally supposed to be on a religious colony. God, there's so many stuff. There's so many things.
So let's start with Space is Hell.
I can't lie to you about your chances, but you have my sympathies.
Space is vast, dark, and not your friend. Gamma rays and neutrino bursts erupt.
You forgot the ship's log of the Miranda with Charlize Theron. Slight nod there.
Oh. The Miranda's
she
taken
played
on
the lady that got crushed by the giant spaceship in Prometheus because she ran straight rather than sideways.
Well, no, because that ship was Prometheus, not Miranda.
Yeah, you're right.
Miranda's taking on supplies at Anchor Point Station. She's now synced to an old beat-up YX3 refinery module the company wants towed to the Solomons. It's a shit run with shit pay, but it's better than heading out there without any haul at all. Most of my crew around this round are my regulars. Jeffries and Ellery are flying. Nigan and Torres are my cargo handlers. Nat and Reed are my techs. Note to self, no more husband and wife teams on my crew. Nat and Reed are fighting again. The only newbie is Hayes, a med tech on loan to us from Captain Hughes.
Yep, a little bit of a nod to the original crew there. Also, if you occasionally hear me mukbanging, it's legitimately because I got dinner late. That was a concern.
So again, space is dangerous. It's also not as empty as you think.
Nope.
Governments are fighting Cold War. Colonists are reaching for new stars. And there are things out there.
Oh yeah, there are nastier things besides the xenomorph. So, what's the story, Mother? And behold, a great dragon. His tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven and did cast them to the earth. Again, that's a nod to Alien 3. That's why the xenomorph in it is called the dragon. Because it was named by the prisoners who compared it to this creature from Revelation.
So one thing they bring up is the alien is a stuff of nightmares in all its forms, from the neomorph to the xenomorph.
I hate that they're referencing fucking Alien Covenant there.
Why don't they just throw in the red alien
Yeah, why the
at
hell
this
not?
point?
No, just throw in the Yautja. Just put in the Yautja. Why not? Yautja are predators, for those who don't know.
You know something? I think growing up, I thought they were part of the same franchise.
Nope, they were not at all. What happened was there was a small visual gag in the second Predator movie.
But it surprisingly fits.
It does. That's why there was a bunch of Dark Horse comics specifically about it. But yeah, the alien represents everything we don't particularly understand. It evokes a fear of our bodies being violated and used, which is a genuine aspect of the creature. It is a creature of violation.
Because remember, it raped and impregnated a man.
Oh no, it's even worse than that. So in the original Alien script, they never quite figured out how Lambert died, and one of the elements in that movie is it might have with its
Oh,
tail to death,
oh.
and they kind of hint that off screen. That's also why Ash tries to suffocate Sigourney Weaver, Ellen Ripley,
With the
with the
porno mag.
magazine, because that's actually a holdover from when synthetics did not have genitalia.
Oh.
Yeah, there was a weird script element in the original take that they actually had a habit of freewheeling while they're on cargo hauling. And there's a point where Ellen Ripley actually asks Dallas, no, actually, she asks Lambert, "Hey, have you fucked Ash?" And she's like, "No, no one has."
I'm assuming this is also when they probably didn't have them in cryosleep.
Oh no, they had cryosleep, but they were naked originally.
Well, it's the 70s.
Also, the original facehugger was more octopoidal, with an eye in the center of it. Which,
Yeah,
if you're
shouldn't have the
wondering,
iron.
yes, Ridley Scott just basically dug out old rejected designs from Alien and just slapped it into Prometheus and Alien Covenant. What? Huh? He's an uncreative fucking hack that lost his touch after, I don't know, Kingdom of Heaven's director's cut?
So let's continue then. The Miranda crew has left Anchor Point. Um,
Thetis. Oh, actually, if I remember right, Thetis was the original source where the Nostromo was. The Nostromo was taken from Thetis. Oh, no. It's either where they got their petrochemicals because it was actually a gigantic oil refinery that it was tugging that automated basically processing oil into plastic. If you're wondering, the original idea is that you didn't really use diesel engines or combustive anymore, mainly because they cracked fusion. There's not much of a point if you've cracked fusion and more efficient electric and hydrogen batteries. But they still need plastic.
so you
So
have,
oil was still
yeah.
critical.
Um, so you still have on the frontier. This is the beginning of the Outer Veil. Outer Veil has a vast amount of territories with rich in mineral resources.
That is actually
Uh,
one of the many reasons Weyland-Yutani put a lot of effort into its colonial program.
Building better worlds, after all.
And actually, that's one of the reasons Seegson designed spaceports. Legitimately, was to tap those, primarily around gas giants. Because you could put a gas scooper refinery on it and basically take it near but not quite at the Roche limit. Harsh limit being the closest you can get to a planet before its gravity rips you apart. They actually put a lot of thought into the setting, quite a bit, including designing entire emergency systems. Oh yeah, Ridley Scott. Ridley Scott's a prick. Legitimately, he you can tell mainly because with Covenant, you can definitely see that he had nothing but contempt for you. He's like, oh, you want more aliens, huh? Well, here's a terrible take on it being a slasher in space, because he actually fucking hates sci-fi. He legitimately going into Alien hated sci-fi. Like legitimately, he genuinely thought it was shit, and he was like, well, if I'm gonna make this piece of shit, I might as well make it the most beautiful piece of shit that I can make it.
We can't do sci-fi, and you can't do biopics, apparently.
But yeah, the frontier is not pleasant. Life is harsh and cheap. Atmospheric processes are brought in to convert the air into something passably breathable. And that actually depends on whether or not their planet has air. Some of those colonies don't, so you have to actually start an atmosphere from scratch. Majority of the settlers are prospectors, entrepreneurs, farmers, and homesteaders. Uh, Essentially, this is where you get your raw mineral oil, while agri and aquatic worlds harvest food and algae. Space stations are mainly used as ports to expedite. And they mentioned the colonial marines, but that actually only applies to United Americas. I don't know if the Anglo-Japanese sphere has their own variant of colonial marines. Like, I don't know what they would be called. But the colonial marines you see in Aliens are actually from United Americas.
I have a feeling they have their own, but don't know exactly what they would be.
I do like this impressionist art piece they have of a colonial world. Very much based on
Yeah,
Hadley's Hope. Actually, I think this is partially based on some original ideas they had for the set, because originally you were supposed to see a lot more like neon signs and efforts to make it look a little more lived in. So the territories of the frontier. So here's all of the major states. There's the three-world empire. It's consisting of the former UK, Japan, and several developing countries. Weyland-Yutani itself is the result of the formation of the three-world empire, which is when Weyland Corporation, it was originally called Weyland Industries, if I remember right, combined with the Zaibatsu Yutani. Three-world pioneered space exploration and controls a lot of the inner colonies. And Wayland is essentially the main drive for expansion. Then there's United Americas. Essentially, this is the U.S. Merging with the Latin American world and Canada. Their
yay,
big
Pan
thing is
Americanism.
colonizing.
I don't know how they ended up doing it, but they did.
I think it was because in opposition to Three World Empire.
I'm just wondering how possibly they, because remember, we'd have to incorporate Brazil.
Yeah,
That I don't know how that took like 2 centuries. But then we had,
I think the idea is essentially that it's just like the main languages of it are English, Spanish, and Portuguese.
I think also considering it's uh, the United Americas. If it's federal, then actually that probably would work out very well.
Oh yeah, it is federal. I actually don't remember, but I think they've actually had their capital in Brazil at least once. I don't
It's
know
a
if they've
rotate.
they might. I'd have to look it up. There's actually a really fun book called the Colonial Marines Technical Manual that was also made to kind of explain some of this. As for the Union of Progressive Peoples, that's again from an Alien 3 script. I've hammered that home repeatedly. Alien 3 went through 20 different scripts, 6 different writers, and 2 directors. And the only reason it even came close to finishing was because David Fincher was a very stubborn bastard, and it was his first ever movie.
Yeah. So the Union of Progressive Peoples was formed from a couple of countries, including Russia and Vietnam. Um,
Mainly because this was written in the lens of the 70s, where the Soviet Union was still relevant. Nowadays, you'd probably say it was formed by the People's Republic of China.
yeah, I guess China was. I think China probably is in them, but I guess this means somehow uh, China went to shit.
I could see it.
considering they call it Russia also. They went to
Essentially,
ships.
the Union of Progressive Peoples is the not Soviet analog. They're not as advanced technologically. They're lagging behind in the arms race, but there's a lot of tension between them and the United Americas, which that's actually one of the reasons the Colonial Marines are a thing. And the ICSC is actually a complete corporate conglomerate. In fact, actually, the boardroom meeting in Aliens was like where Sigourney Weaver's just ripping into them.
Mm-hmm.
That's the ICSC.
Really, I thought that was Wayland.
Technically, Wayland Yutani is mildly subordinate to it, while also having major share interests in it. Most mega corporations at least have stock in it, and essentially it's almost like a economic body where they can hobnob.
Ah.
It's like how the IMF handles the money of the world.
Hmm. So, as the continuing, there's still on the Miranda still some conflict between Reed and Nat. Dominion over the stars. So while you have the governments, you also do have the corporate interests: William Chani, Bionational, Seegson. Um,
Because Alien Isolation was mentioned, and I believe they even have stuff about Siegson in it, which is nice.
um, God at the ass end of space. So a lot of
This is based partially on Prometheus, but also on Alien 3.
many have turned to God to get them through the daily rigors, while traditional religions are practiced throughout the colony. Sets apocalyptic
Millenarians.
millenarian
Yep.
fundamentalism has risen, which including what was it? The practitioners, the holy immolation, and the cultist church of immaculate incubation.
That's actually
None
from the
of
comics.
none of those sound good.
Oh no, Immaculate Incubation is actually the cult from Alien Earth Hive, the comic, where Earth falls to them. That's
Yeah,
actually a nice little touch.
I also don't get how uh, you land on a colony and you instantly become a sect of fundamentalists who believe the world's going to end.
Uh, well, it's because it's low-key hinted that much like in Gundam, the more destabilizing aspects of human society are usually the first that are essentially kicked off, or they try to flee from the government into the frontier. Same logic as to what the English did with their religious crazies. Just export
Oh,
them elsewhere.
oh yeah.
And rumor control. There's a lot of rumors. They spread really fast. A bunch of things like ancient ruins, distant moons, ruins that predate humanity, derelict spacecraft.
And at Will and Tony, other corporations are building dangerous biological weapons, psychopathic cyborgs. There's also the fact that ships, stations, colonies have started disappearing over the past century.
Oh yeah, it happens all the time. Space is vast, and occasionally they just disappear with no warning. I mean, one of the most well known is the ISCS Nostromo, which disappeared somewhere out in the Outer Rim. You know what the Nostromo is.
Yeah. So they've engaged FTL on the Miranda, but Reed's been missing for some time. Uh, the time period, the year is 2183, 3 years after Hadley's Hope was destroyed, the disappearance of the Sulaco, and the closing of the prison lead works on Fiorina 161.
Also known as Fury 161. That's the planet in Alien 3.
Um,
Oh god, we might actually have Alien Colonial Marine kick in. That amazing scam game and why I hate Gearbox.
so it's actually because of this, because, well, the entire Colonial Marine unit was completely lost, and whaling and Shawnee outposts have been wiped out. There's a distrust between the company and the United Americas, and now many frontier worlds are kind of freaking out.
Well, yeah, if you're wondering, it's not. It's one thing to lose. If you're wondering, I believe it was the equivalent of a company. Basically, platoon size in the Alien universe is about company sized. Again, the technical manual covers a variety of things. Basically, a platoon is comprised of two squads with a synthetic on board to handle information systems and stuff like that. Mainly because they have so much weaponry. They have the fighting power of a platoon.
Well, they actually state that the events of the aftermath of the Fiorina 161 came from the Space Beast, which is Robert Morris's book about encountering an alien dragon.
He's the only survivor, by the way. He's the one that basically laughs as Charles Bishop, I believe, screams in rage as Ripley kills herself by jumping into the lead works.
So yeah, people now. So yeah, the alien is now publicly known, and people are starting to believe it's a religious text and believe it's the sign of Armageddon.
Which I think is kind of fitting because, again, religion does play a little bit of a role. Also, that's not the only Alien 3 script that actually plays with religion. The religious prisoner aspect is from a previous script where it was originally a wandering, I think, generation ship that was made by religious exiles who basically rejected the corporatism on Earth. That's the version where the alien looked like a sexy cat succubus with the literally as H.R. Giger described it, it was supposed to be like if Michelle Pfeiffer was a parasitoid wasp and was a four-legged feline with a razor-sharp lance tongue that can drain you of blood. Like it almost was like a vampire movie, from what I understand. Like a vampire movie on a religious colony in space. Which there's actually a really fun alien comic that does that. Essentially, a colony went feral, almost like Feral Worlder went near medieval again because they lost contact and supplies because it was made of exiles. And they essentially had to deal with Xenos. And the best thing they had were crossbows. It was fun. It was a fun little story.
So next up is the timeline, which I
It's
feel like
going to be insulting.
I mean, basically, Wayland helps jumpstart.
Wayland's infamous TED Talk. Remember when TED Talk was relevant?
Well, it happened last year, apparently.
Yeah.
And basically, colonization starts up.
The moon gets
Prometheus,
terraformed, which I think is a little
yeah,
silly.
Prometheus gets happened in 2091.
Uh,
Covenant happens in 2103.
by the way, if you're wondering, I really hate Prometheus because it is such a prequel, and yet the technology looks so advanced.
2106, civil war breaks out between the colony worlds of Turn Prime. And this ends up creating the Union of Progressive Peoples because
Also, if you're wondering, that is actually a reference to the backstories of half of the crew in the UCSS Nostromo. Because, funnily enough, in the original Alien, they had elaborate backstories for each of the characters that the actors were set to play. I believe Brett was a veteran from this war, which is why he's so laconic and doesn't talk that much.
because over 15,000 lives were lost when the troop carrier Archangel is destroyed. Yeah, not fun.
I believe Dallas was also in the war. That's actually one of the reasons why he's a bit eccentric. One of the fun things is in the original script, having a beard was considered being eccentric at this time because you were almost being like a caveman.
Then realize this, yeah, 2121, the Nostromo departs Thetis for Earth, drops on an LV-426. Then it obviously the engines are set to overload by the ship's officer.
Yeah, for some reason, some warrant officer named Ripley blew it up. No one really knows why. She screamed about aliens, which
I'm
seemed
going
kind of
space
bullshit.
madness. Then 2137, Alien Isolation.
Yep, with Amanda Ripley McLaren.
And let's see, 2162, the Colonial Institute incite a draft in the colonies. Because there's a conflict between the United Americas and the Union of Progressive Peoples.
I think that was made up, which is okay with that.
Then in 2179, that shuttle from the Nostromo is recovered on a deep salvage team. And
the events
yeah,
of
that's
Aliens happen.
Aliens and Alien 3.
Prometheus couldn't bother to look coherent with the rest of the movies. This is the biggest reason I hate Prometheus. It existed because it had to kill Alien Engineer. Alien Engineer looked a lot closer. I believe it's the Sietis script. I forget the name of the guy who wrote it. Sionis. Basically, it was like his first ever writing credit. He wrote a script that I've actually read the outline. It is so much smarter. Yes, it still plays around with religion as a concept slightly, mainly because the engineers still kind of essentially kick humanity into sentience. But do you want to know why good old bad old age makeup Wayland was on the ship in the first place?
Well, maybe from the movie, it's because he wanted to see his creators.
He wanted to see his creators and try to find a way to live forever. In the original script, he wasn't interested in any of that shit. I don't think he was even on the ship. What he was interested in was the aliens' technology, particularly when they land on the planet. His in people, David and his commander, his wrangler, they were both very interested in the atmospheric generators because it low-key hints that's where the atmosphere processors came from. They're actually retrofitted alien tech.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's why they fund weird religious scientist lady. Well, I mean, also, it's a lot more unambiguous because rather than just the same painting of a big man pointing to some stars, it's like a bunch of monoliths, all of the same construction, including one underneath the ocean. Which there's no way humans could have built that. Like, legitimately, it is artificially created monolith. On top of that, it plays around with the black goo is not as much of an element. I mean, it's kind of there, but the idea is they're essentially gene editing nanites that look like bugs.
Hmm.
So it's a little bit smarter. They play around with like organic construction more. Oh, also the planet they were on in Alien Engineer was LV-426, aka
Oh,
Acheron.
come on.
Well, no, because the final thing with the big ship crashing.
Yeah. Oh, God, that was supposed to be the ship, wasn't it?
That was supposed to be the derelict, yes.
Oh, come on.
Also, well, no, because it explains the acoustical warning beacon. Because the Shaw is supposed to have set it up basically to warn people for not showing up here.
I'm going to be honest, couldn't it just have been warning, the
Oh,
guy
you mean
finds out
like
that the
what it
infest.
actually was before Ridley Scott decided to absolutely buttfuck Alien forever? Because he wanted to do a stupid origin thing of a really cool set piece. By the way, he wanted to not even do Alien at all. He actually had it rewritten by Lindelof. And then when faced with criticism, he's like, "Oh, you fuckers want monsters? Okay." And then he made Covenant, which was one of the shittiest movies I've ever seen. To the point where I actually have admitted, I prefer Alien versus Predator Requiem over watching that piece of shit.
At least that has an actual hybrid alien.
It also has the balls to kill a child, which you don't see often.
Oh, really?
Yeah, one of the first victims was a child who got chest bursted.
Ooh. But on to who you'd be playing in this game.
Careers on the frontiers, frontier colonists.
Colonist, space trucker,
Yep.
or even a colonial marine.
Oh, there's more than that.
Yeah, there is, but company reps
Yep,
as well.
company reps are another one.
So you're going to be those squeamy bastards. I think the actor for that who played the company rep in Aliens actually he either ended up getting typecasted or people actually hated him because he played such a scumbag.
It was more the former than the latter.
Also,
Funnily
on
enough,
a,
Carter Burke is such an iconic character that after Aliens came out, so many movies would steal stuff from Alien, particularly Roger Corman. Like Carnosaur 2. The hit film Carnosaur 2 legitimately has an entire arc with a not just a Carter Burke character. It's essentially aliens as lensed through Roger Corman, but instead of Xenos, they're dinosaurs.
so
They have a
Jurassic
not nude
World.
character, and then they even recreate. Only instead of Gorman being the one to sacrifice himself, it is the Burke character willingly sacrificing himself with a grenade.
Hmm.
It is. It's a wild ride. You would see a lot of this in. The same thing happened in Star Wars. There were so many bootleg Star Wars
Yes.
attempts.
Turkish Star Wars,
Same thing
Brazilian
happened
Star
with
Wars.
Aliens.
I don't remember there being a Turkish alien though.
Oh, there probably is somewhere.
You know what I just thought now? Bollywood alien.
I'm just now envisioning like someone in the full alien, like they get a really skinny 7 foot tall man to be in the alien makeup, and you just see like a 5 minute dance sequence with that thing fucking dancing.
I mean, we saw it in Spaceballs. It can work.
I I just now have the horrible mental image of them legitimately having the alien twerk, and I hate it.
Oh, that's the other thing with Spaceballs. They had John Hurt reprise his role.
Oh
That's why
yeah,
he says, "Oh no, not again."
oh yeah, that was the whole point. Uh, Funnily enough, Alien also had a lot of high quality actors in it, which is very much not expected. They were all either near the peak of their career or slightly over the hill or just starting to really get going. Except for Sigourney Weaver, she was legitimately that was like her first role ever, aside some minor acting roles in like Broadway.
Hmm. So onto the Miranda thing. Reed turns out to be dead. Something burst his ribcage.
That's not good. And how the hell did that happen?
I don't know,
All I know is I
but
wouldn't want to be in that ship anymore.
yeah. So
I take my chance on the refinery, not gonna lie.
Torres also apparently died.
Not great.
Found the body hanging in the lift base. Okay, I'm sorry. This is just Alien. They're just redoing Alien.
It's kind of lame, yeah. Oh,
Uh,
that's actually because I think one of the first adventure modules was legitimately just fucking Alien again.
that actually does bring up something with the game mode. So they have two modes: cinematic and campaign.
Yep.
So cinematic is single session, high stakes, fast and brutal. Um, to play more, I'd say like a movie in a sense. While a campaign is obviously a campaign.
Yep. Which I actually think that's a good idea. Like they actually have an idea for both one shots and campaigns.
Um, then they bring about the themes: space horror, sci-fi action, the sense of wonder.
Well,
Which
yeah,
I'm
because
get yeah.
like investigating the derelict was a really interesting thing. And despite all of the problems with Alien 3, I actually found the giant prison complex in Leadworks really fascinating.
Yeah, there's something interesting. Just like you have these grand, giant machines or spaceships, or just that looks mystifying.
And that is one of the few good moments in Alien Covenant when they find the old engineer city. I mean, I didn't like its design, but you know,
Oh, also, there's apparently a custom card deck that you have along with their custom dice,
unfortunate. I
which
forgot
is
this piece of shit uses cards.
the custom. Well, it's for drawing initiative and for keeping track. It's not required to play. It's just a useful supplement.
Thank fuck. I One of the biggest death knells, in my opinion, when it comes to a tabletop game is when they use cards. That actually single-handedly killed Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay's third edition.
And at least with the unique dice, it's basically a special a symbol on the 6 and the 1.
If you've ever played a Star Wars Edge of Empires or Age of Rebellion, they do the same thing.
Modivius does this, and I do think Free League does this as well.
Yep.
I mean, hey, it's a way to get more profit.
By the way, you can get a copy of this book for 500 Swedish krona in the description in the video below, on the title card below.
So they explain what a role playing game is, and then they move on to character creation.
Well, you don't want to recover all of the the alien moments in here.
No, because that's just Alien. It is just Alien. It's
Oh yeah, your character. Chapter 2 opens with one of my least favorite quotes. Why do you think your people made me? Oh, we made you because we could. Can you imagine how disappointing it would be for you to hear the same thing from your creator? Fuck you.
then he hands him the drink and dips his finger into it,
Mm-hmm.
which he doesn't mention or see.
Oh, if you're wondering why David goes crazy in the in the original Alien Engineer script, it's low-key hinted it's because he interacted with the alien technology, which caused him to also self-evolve, similar to how the engineers caused humanity to spark into sapience. Interacting with the machinery kind of kick-started him into becoming... I mean, he was, I think, essentially self-aware, but it gave him independence, and it kind of also drove him crazy.
Like, wait a minute, I can fully think now. Kill everybody.
Well, it's more like, oh, I don't have to listen to my garbage fucking creators anymore.
I should kill them.
Which, you know, I think made a little more sense.
So, character creation
I mean, it's smarter than
is...
Alien Covenant. Do you want to know why he's evil in that? It's because he got his head knocked off and Shaw put his head on wrong. Literally. She put his
literal
head
wires
back on,
crossed.
and he went crazy. Hey,
Well,
remember when that didn't happen when they cut Ash's head off?
Well, they didn't put his head back on. They just cut his head off.
So what you're saying is maybe if they put his head back on, he actually would have become like a nice guy and like helped them.
Well, if they just crossed the wires.
Oh no, we accidentally tossed the evil. God, I fucking hate Prometheus. It doesn't even look good. Like, that's one of my biggest problems with that movie. People try to lie about that movie looking good. I don't think it does. I think it looks like CGI slop. Maybe higher quality CGI slop than what we're getting now, but still.
So, character creation-wise, you choose career, make your attributes,
Yep.
skills, talent, etc., etc. So you have your attributes: strength, agility, wits, and empathy. So
Yeah.
strength, dex, intelligence, perception, and then charisma.
Well, wits is a mixture of wisdom and intelligence, and empathy is your charisma, and also partially your wisdom.
So you can assign no less than 2, no more than 4 to any attribute. However, you may assign 5 points to an attribute listed as your key attribute for your career.
Mm-hmm.
Androids get +3 bonus to 2 attributes. Skills are from 0 to 5.
Well, no, there's also a negative bonus benefit to androids, which I think is clever.
Yeah. So you always roll for a skill if you have no level. You distribute a total of 10 points for your starting skills.
Yep.
And then you have your talents. You get 1 talent for campaign play. And then for playing as an android, you get those bonuses, but you cannot push scale rolls. You don't suffer stress. You never make panic rolls, and you suffer damage differently.
Yes, you do. Androids also usually have a hidden agenda that you have to fulfill. But then again, every character, if you're wondering, that's an aspect of the character and how campaigns work. Every character usually has what's called an agenda. It's more used, I believe, for cinematic, but it also applies to campaigns. Androids usually, but not always, have to usually run counter. At least the examples they're going to give, because historically, androids tend to be company stooges. Except in Aliens, which I thought was a nice touch.
Well, the thing is, it's not voluntarily company stooges. They're literally built to be.
Mm-hmm.
You can't really blame them, honestly.
Especially since, again, Aliens refutes that with Bishop, which I think was a good touch. They made Burke the mole.
So you have your health, you have your name, your appearance. Yeah, they do it for the agendas. Your cinematic agenda, at the beginning of each of the 3 acts of the scenario, the GM gives a PC a handout with a new agenda for the act. They are hidden. You should not show them to other players or write them down. At the end of each act,
which is not necessarily a great way to run a game, but it actually, I think, makes a lot of sense if you're doing a cinematic, because it's a one-shot.
If you took any specific actions to further your agenda during the act, you are awarded 1 story point. And in campaign, you pick 1 personal agenda for your career, or you can come up with an agenda for your own.
Mm-hmm.
And then every time you take a concrete action for it, you gain a bonus experience point.
Story points, if I recall, allow you to push rolls easier. So, yeah.
Yeah. I assume it's, your ability to re-roll or get bonuses.
Mm-hmm. Buddies and rivals. So, yeah, it's a small group of people facing horrifying dangers. You're gonna clash.
And more so in cinematic. Because you could have a PC that turns traitor. they could actually end up becoming an NPC. You strongly recommend wait until the third and final act of a scenario before engaging in PvP.
Which is fitting, because again, if you're basing it even on the terrible movies, they play around with it. I think, except in Resurrection.
Yeah, Resurrection, they're kind of all together, I think.
By the way, Joss Whedon, that piece of shit, tried so hard to divorce himself from that film. He kept saying, "Oh, the director constantly ruined my beautiful script." When you read a script, you find out every fucking stupid decision made by the characters was written by Joss Whedon. Like, there is little to no change because the French director that they hired, when forced to by companies, pretty much is workman. He'll take what he's given and he'll make a product. So no, own your failure, Joss Whedon.
You then have your equipment.
Which includes vehicles and spaceships, and that is something that's actually kind of fun. The Alien RPG actually plays around with space combat.
You have your encumbrance that double your strength without any. And that's your weight limit.
Yeah. Most
You have your
items are usually
consumables.
a size of a small bag.
Yeah.
You got light, heavy, and tiny.
They actually do have supply roles, so air, water, food, power, which, yeah, definitely makes sense.
Oh yeah. It also because of that, that's also a thing for ship combat, dealing with ships, and it's also pretty good for campaign play and also just cinematic.
I do like with water, you have to have it once per day and after every strenuous activity like combat or a mobility role.
Yep.
So you get your experience. You can only get 1 XP per question that you answer. So if you have participated in the game session, you get 1 for being there. Did you risk or sacrifice something for your personal agenda? Make a panic roll, overcome a dangerous event, earn any money. You have to perform something significant to get experience.
I will say I'm not a fan because with these questions that you're listed, you could hypothetically have up to over 10 experience per session.
Yeah. Uh,
That's kind of silly. I'd probably restrict it to you get anywhere between 1 to 3.
Because I could see this. You risk your life for your buddy. You throw a knife up in the air and try to catch it before it lands at him.
Oh, and you also steal a share. You also steal a share from someone else, so technically you earned it.
Yeah, that's a bit of a gaming in a sense.
That's why I
It,
genuinely think you should probably limit the amount of XP you can get per.
though I could see this because they do say skills. It costs 5 XP to go up a skill level, and it costs 5 XP to learn a talent.
Yeah, but in campaign play, I'd say that you can kind of go a little slower.
Yeah. So then they go into the different, I guess, careers. So it's a colonial marine. Most of your friends will never see another world, but not you. As soon as you're old enough, you signed up for the USCMC. The pay is crap and the food is worse, but you always get a bunk to sleep in and get to shoot all sorts of weapons at all sorts of things.
Fun fact,
Life of
to
cool.
be a colonial marine, you only need to actually have the equivalent of a high school graduation. I believe, funnily enough, despite that, a colonial marine, despite being seen as a lunkhead and idiot, still has more engineering and technical training than some modern engineers,
Mm.
which I think
So
is pretty cute.
uh, you get your key attribute is strength. Key skills are close combat, stamina, and range combat.
Yeah,
Per talents, I like this one. Banter.
that is solely because of Hudson, and you know it.
Yeah. Overkill, past the limit.
Overkill is almost certainly because of what was it? Vasquez and
Yeah.
oh god,
It's just the Marines in general. Just
oh yeah, and her buddy Drake.
I like the personal agenda. You once helped cover up a war crime. No
Yeah,
one
that
must ever
happens.
know. And I like with the appearance. Choosing the options below. Cocky grin.
Yeah, Bill Paxton was very memorable.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the appearance, crew cut, arm tattoo, scars, cold eye. Yep. Also, I love that they mentioned the personalized body armor. Fun fact. The entire cast that played the Colonial Marines and Aliens actually went through a very short boot camp. Because one of the actors, the guy who played Apone, did actually serve in, I believe, the Marines. So what happened was he reprised his role as the drill sergeant, ran them through, I believe, 2 weeks equivalent of basic. And also on top of that, they got to personalize their own material. Like they were given their uniforms for the movie, and they were given complete carte blanche to completely redesign, to completely customize them.
Oh, I hope they got to keep them.
Also, a fun fact: Michael Biehn was not originally supposed to play Hicks. They actually had a different actor, but I think what happened was he had a minor nervous breakdown, or he got really sick, so he couldn't show up anymore.
Mm.
But you can see,
So
you can actually see him in 1 or 2 shots from the back.
interesting. All right, Nito. Even someone with a high school diploma could know more about an expert centuries ago.
Fair enough.
Yeah, yeah.
I forget, but like basically they have a bunch of weird technical skills. It's to represent, because you know how Hudson was able to splice into and hack computer networks. It just shows that you actually pick up a lot of interestingly weird skills from the Colonial Marines.
Well, experience is a good teacher.
Also, the sharp sticks line, I believe in the technical manual, make the sharp stick an actual weapon. It is a very low grade tactical nuclear missile that you can
Oh,
fire from a rocket launcher.
wait, what the fuck?
It's not a very heavy one. It's
It's
like a
a
very
fucking
small.
fat man.
It's a small Davy Crockett nuke, yeah.
It's a fat man.
Either that or it was supposed to be like essentially a miniature bunker buster. I forget. I do know that they did have a nuclear attachment to some of their heaviest weapons.
Oh,
Though,
that reminds me of the time when we decided, you know what's going to be good for our military? Tactical nuclear weapons that can be fired by infantry or tanks.
oh, don't worry about it. Their little vehicle that they drive around in. Don't worry, it's proofed against radiation,
Huh.
or at least
How many,
reasonably proofed against radiation.
how many times has it seen combat then?
It depends on the unit. It
I was
does.
trying to make the simulated one actual, or was it one actual or none actual?
Oh, how many? 36 simulated. How many combat drops? 2, including this one.
So the next,
It's to compare, because this was a criticism about Vietnam, actually.
oh yeah, no,
Essentially, the ground pounders were stuck in a lot more than the officers, who usually were rotated in.
there's a line. Lifers are like flies. This I forget the metaphor, but yeah, they didn't like the lifers that much.
Also,
The ones who,
also interesting fact: Hudson legitimately was 2 weeks away from retirement. That was That was legitimately supposed to be his last stint of service. Acheron was supposed to be Bill Paxton's character's last stint of service before he finished his term.
oh, the irony. So next up is the Colonial Marshal,
Which you actually see in Isolation.
basically space cop. You
They
are a
are
space
space
cop.
sheriff more than cop.
Sp- You're right, yeah. Space sheriff.
Space
Key,
sheriff slash space vigilante.
um, key attribute wits, key skills, observation range, combat, manipulation, career talents, authority, investigator, subdue. I like with the appearance. Doing a toothpick, cigarette in mouth, impressive mustache.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to make Space Columbo, you would make him a colonial marshal. Go on, don't you want to have like Space Columbo in his Hawaiian shirt, like trying to fight the xenomorph on a fucking space station?
No, I got better. The Naked Gun versus the Alien.
Get Steve Martin to fucking show up.
Oh, that'd be less. Well, we need to
Leslie
resurrect
Nielsen,
less.
sorry. You're correct. Your longtime partner betrayed you and defected to a crime syndicate. Get even. Your dream of turning in the badge and settling down in peace, work toward it. You're literally 2 weeks away from retirement when the xenomorph shows up. Ah, god damn it, I was legitimately 2 weeks away from retirement. And the twist is your character somehow is the only survivor out of the other player characters.
He actually does get to retire. But then the corporation shows up.
Oh, no, look at the death knell. Photo of a loved one. That's another death knell.
So the next character is the company agent.
Ah, yeah. Your Carter Brooks.
Hungry.
Your Ashes.
Space is full of opportunity, and you've been assigned to the frontier to find the next big thing. From insider information to new material deposits, or even a hereto unknown life form to exploit. It's up for you to score a win for the company and use to catapult yourself up the corporate ladder.
Yeah, if you're
like
wondering,
an 80s guy.
They mentioned that they might actually have wanted the xenomorphs for weapons division. It's entirely possible that they might have just wanted it for its molecular acid blood. I mean, that's an impressive solvent. They could have actually just wanted them to harvest for their hydrofluoric acid blood.
We're gonna breed them and turn them into a farm animal.
We need a new synthetic plastic, and let me look at it. Look at the alien hive structure. This stuff is more durable than some of the cheaper models. If we can actually figure out a way to synthesize this resin that they secrete, we're in business, man.
So
you are aware they killed everyone in this colony. Oh, details. That happens.
That happens, but listen, the profit we could get from this, think about the profit.
Besides, do you want to know? Besides, this is still less dead than the time that the UPP decided to do a false flag attack on that other outpost that you were assigned to. Besides, it's not like I'm demanding that you get face hugged. I just want a specimen. We just need one alive so that we can recreate what it can make. I'm not asking for a breeding program here.
I mean, we might need one or two more people. I don't know. We need to figure out how they reproduce.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Like, legitimately, that could company agents are usually really fun to play, especially in this setting.
So you've got wits as your attribute, key skills, contact, observation, manipulation.
Yep.
Cunning, personal safety, take control are your talents.
Because, yeah, you're going to be out for your own skin, which I love.
I actually do like that for the personal agenda. A few of them you're hostile to the company.
Yeah.
And then with the appearance, monogrammed silk tie.
Yeah.
And expensive Rolex.
Oh, yeah. I also like that they give you synthetic equivalents to cocaine.
Wait, what?
1d6 doses of Neversleep or 1d6 doses of Naprolev. Both of them are drugs. Both of them are legitimate drugs. Which I love.
Item. Signature item, divorce papers.
That one's also pretty good. Another fun one is you're legitimately like, look, man, I don't know anything about what the higher ups are doing. I was brought here just to assess the status of the colony. Because if that atmospheric processor goes, do you want to know how much money we put into those things? The nuclear fusion reactors alone are worth more than your ship.
But I'm
look, I don't care if you tactically nuke the colony, my friend. I just want to make sure our assets are minimally non-damaged.
That you could reasonably have the corporate guy sacrifice himself, and his final lines are, "That bitch is not getting any alimony from me."
Yeah, you could.
I'll see her in hell.
The kid, because you have to have a nude equivalent, which I like.
Yep. This is your nude equivalent. Key attribute, agility.
Yep.
You have skills of mobility, survival, and observation. Beneath notice, dodge, nimble are your career talents. Appearance, t-shirt with band logo.
Yeah.
Bored expression.
Yeah.
Trendy sneakers that light up.
Do you now understand why, even though I find it infuriating that they use Alien Covenant shit in this, I still like this book a lot?
I mean, they use Alien Covenant shit, but
you can tell they care. This is
only mention of the timeline. That's about it.
Yeah. Also, another thing I like is since it incorporates everything, it's basically the equivalent of that 900-page Star Wars cosmology fictive suicide you sent me. It's kind
Well,
of
no,
the
because
equivalent.
this is a game. This is not. Let's try to make sense out of Star Wars
No,
and
this is let's try to make
throw in
sense out of the 20 scripts
throw
that were
in
made for
throw in
Alien
Howard the
3.
Duck and Duck Dodgers to be in Star Wars for some reason.
Legitimately, I'm just envisioning Howard the Duck just dealing with Darth Sidious, aka Palpatine. It's like, look, pal. I just want to get on vacation. I don't care what you do in your spare time. Torture women, and like execute enemies of the state all you want. I just want to have a good time on Imperial Center, man.
Disney, this is something that I will buy from you.
I,
Do this.
Howard the Duck has to deal with the Empire just to go on his vacation. Along the way, he has to deal with Sith alchemy raised zombies.
Oh yeah, they have those.
Yeah. Come on, doesn't that sound like an amazingly terrible movie that if you made for like $5 million, people would probably applaud?
I probably would see it because it actually would be something new.
Like, he's just a duck out on a vacation. Imperial Center. Now, where's the
Oh,
beachfront?
they style it like a '90s comedy.
And there's like comedic bits where he has to deal with like Sith alchemy zombies that broke out of Palpatine's medical research lab, and he's like, and you actually have like the guy going, "I'm looking for a set series of bounty hunters with skill," and you just see Howard the Duck looking baffled as he's like right next to some very notorious bounty hunters, like Cad Bane or something. He's like, "I don't even know why I'm here, man." Oh no, I could totally see Disney doing it, and it'd be so bad. But it also would be amazing.
Yeah. Uh, so then you have the medic.
Yeah, medics are a thing. In this case, I believe they're supposed to be.
I think just your medic.
Yeah, I think they're just attached to Colonial Marines slash. It could also just be Frontier Doctors.
Key attribute: empathy, skills, mobility, observation, medical aid, career talents, calming presence, compassion, field surgeon. Personal agenda: you're addicted to a strong painkiller.
Yeah. I like how one
Officer.
of your first appearances is Sympathetic Smile. That actually might be a nod to the Alien novelizations. Because in Aliens, they actually talk about how the medtechs that were in Gateway Station have to practice their smiles.
You have your officer. Key attribute: empathy, range combat, command manipulation, field commander, influence, pull rank. Signature item: ship's cat.
Yep.
That's appearance, jumpsuit with mission patch, serious, intense expression, overworked and strung out.
Yep, because you're an officer on one of those towing vessels, not necessarily a space trucker, but you command ships.
Pilot, agility, piloting, range combat, comtech, full throttle, like the back of your hand, reckless.
Oh, hey, it's Pharaoh. That's
It's about,
legitimately
yeah,
Pharaoh. That's nice.
it's about pushing the limit. Take a chance, taking risks, so take a risk. Steely blue eyes, sunglasses.
Cheers, gum.
It's Top Gun. It's just Top.
Do you like the appearance suggestions that they
Oh,
give you?
I like the signature item: dashboard dancer.
Oh wait, is the cat alive or you just carry a corpse around? Well, here's the thing: an alien not trying to save the cat will lead to your demise.
Yeah. Then you have
Unless
your
unless you're playing the campaign scenario of Alien on the Nostromo, then you might be able to just get away with Jonesy getting blown up in the nuclear explosion.
roughneck.
Right.
Uh,
Every time that you say something, you just say right. Don't you know that? Right.
I realize, yeah, that's a tick, right?
Yeah, I mean, he's very clearly based on Brett and Parker, which I like.
So key attribute: strength, heavy machinery, stamina, close combat, resilient, the long haul, true grit.
Oh, also, if you're wondering why, it's because partially, I think, in the movie script, Brett was essentially mildly traumatized and had a bit of traumatic brain injury from the war, so that's why he didn't talk much. But in the novelization, it's also just, in his opinion, he just thinks it's pointless to really speak. He much
I do like
prefers
the,
to listen, and he thinks that silence is golden. Like, unless he absolutely has to speak, he doesn't do it.
I do like the signature item, crucifix or other religious symbol.
Yeah. The bonus situation. Yeah, let's talk about that bonus situation. I think, because of the first 20 minutes having some minor internet connections, I think we're entitled to full shares. Under forfeiture of all shares, you have to finish this stream. Well, alright, let's get doing it.
Scientist. Wits, observation, survival, comtech, analysis, breakthrough, inquisitive.
Yeah, you usually have to be. Also, if you're wondering, science in the world of Alien, in the sci-fi world of Alien, very cutthroat, very corporate. So your discoveries really do matter and does apply to your paycheck. Which is why you actually see a bunch of mad scientists in the Alien comics. Like, you see quite a few of them try to, like, weaponize aliens and shit, because that's their paycheck. That's their also legacy. You also see it in a lot of Crichton's work, particularly Jurassic Park with Henry Wu.
Signature item, Albert Einstein Award.
Yeah.
Unfinished scientific paper, blackmail letters.
Again, some scientists just specialize in stealing others' work and just patenting it as their own.
So those are the characters. Now on to the skills.
Yep.
So you have 12
Oh, hey,
skills.
a quote I like. Hey, I kind of feel like a fifth wheel around here. Is there anything I can do? I don't know. Is there anything you can do? Well, I can drive that loader. I have a class 2 rating. Be my guest. I love that.
Well, yeah. 12 skills. Heavy machinery, stamina, close combat, mobility, range combat, piloting, observation, comtech, survival, command, manipulation, and medical aid.
As for why they're the 12 skills, it's so that they evenly split between the 4 traits.
When you use a skill, you do what you say, add your skill level to your score in the attribute, grab that many base dice, roll the dice all together. You must have at least 1 6. So
It's a dice pull. It's a d6 dice pull. 6s equal success. Anything else means no.
if you roll 1 or more, you can perform stunts. And then on a stress die, 1 is replaced with that symbol. You roll a 1, you risk panicking.
Yep.
Art of failure. If you don't roll any 6s, something goes wrong. For some reason, you fail to achieve your goal.
Mm-hmm.
But failure must not stop the story completely. Even when you fail, there must be a way to move forward. Perhaps at cost of time, risk, or dollars,
Yeah.
but still a way. They can also push.
This is another thing I will say that I like about this. There is no, oh, you succeed, but complication, like you see in a lot of Powered by the Apocalypse inspired garbage.
Oh, this is actually interesting. They have a calculation of your chance of success based on the number of dice.
It's almost like Free League gave a shit about actually making a good game.
So you want 5. You want 4 to have at least a 50% chance of success.
You can also push, which further increases your chances.
With push, you just need 2. I like that they include that. You don't need to actually tactically break it down.
It also helps you construct your characters in a way that makes sense.
And pushing
Cat leapt in
adds
front of
the
the gun, failed to kill the traitor Roughneck. Oh, god damn it, Jones. God damn it, Jones. Now how are we gonna kill Brett? He's been possessed by and mind controlled by the aliens. In reality, Brett isn't at all. He's just sick and tired of only getting paid half shares and dealing with Parker's shit.
This is a nice point. Don't roll too often. A dice roll is a dramatic moment. Pushing rolls increase the stress and can trigger panic in your character.
Yep.
Rolling dice too often causes the stress mechanic to spiral out of control quickly. Never roll dice unless it's absolutely necessary.
which I like because you don't have to worry about the scenario where you fight to the death just to assemble a fucking sandwich.
So stress level, when you make skill rolls, add a number of stress dice equal to your dice pool for your current stress level. This means the stress actually increases your chance to succeed at a skill roll. It makes you more sharp and alert. So, adrenaline. However, you roll the 1 on one or more stress die during a skill roll, you panic.
Oh yeah,
So,
your stress dice. That's the thing. If you're using stress by pushing, doing a push, yes, with your stress level, you're more likely to succeed. But if you get a 1 on that, yeah.
same thing for ammo. The action is firing a weapon with a limited magazine, rolling 1 or more stress means you empty the magazine in addition to making the panic roll.
I actually kind of like how they handle stress and panic in this. Isn't this actually well constructed and thought out?
Yeah. And they explain what the story points are. Story points are to get an automatic success
Yep.
in a die roll. You can spend the story point after a failed roll or even after a success roll to get an extra success.
Yes, you can.
And you can never have more than 3 of them.
Which means that you actually it encourages you to spend them, which I like.
Yeah, I just realized Candela Obscura was also a D6 system, but
2D. I thought it was 2D12.
whatever it was.
Oh, yeah, Candle Obscura was. I was thinking of Dagger Hearts, which is also really shitty. We will take a look at that at some point when it's a little further along in development. We actually do have some of the details. Let's just say that you need cards to construct your characters' backgrounds and origins to know their stats, and the character sheets are all formulated based on your class. So you're going to have to print out a variety of classes, class skill sheets, which I think is pretty fucking stupid.
I would say if you played Candela Obscura with this rule set, you probably would have a better experience.
Well, yeah, because this at its core works well for a horror story. Also, this means that you don't have to worry or think about ship construction, which, by the way, you get to design your own ships in this game, and it's fun. Because
You
again,
also
in
then,
space, no one can hear you, space trucker.
so then external factors grant you modifications to give you more or less base die. Then you also can do group rolls.
Yep. This is in the event that you have to deal with a scenario. This can help you actually succeed. Because that's the other thing. Once you roll, tough shit, buddy. You can maybe push, but that's like your only other chance.
Really wrapped up the tension then.
Also, the way difficulty works, they actually give you difficulty modifiers.
Then you also
So the
have
way that works is it gives you a modification of dice results. I think you need at least a 6, if I recall.
you
Where's this
need
extra
one
dice
six.
pool? Let me look.
It
Oh, they have it right here.
it
Gives more
it's the dice pool.
bonus. Okay, it adds to your dice pool, which is nice. If you played Candela Obscura, why? I don't know. Because if I was going to play a game like Candela Obscura, you know what I would play? It's called Call of Cthulhu. It's really good. I wouldn't recommend the newest versions of Call of Cthulhu, but like 6th edition, I think 7th edition is the last one that wasn't completely full of shit.
I think 7th is the current one.
7th ain't too shabby, but I'd recommend 6th.
So also you have opposed rolls. So meaning you have to make more sixes than your adversary.
Which is fair. That's usually during player versus player, which... Oh no! It turns out that the doctor wants to have a copy of the alien so that they can get their publishing done. It wasn't the android at all. The android, or maybe it is. Maybe the android was hacked by the doctor.
The android was the doctor the whole time.
Nah, because that's just Ash.
No, I mean they take the mask off of the doctor and it's just the android.
I'm just now
It's
envisioning
Scooby-Doo. Scooby-Doo versus the alien.
I'm just envisioning like you create the Scooby-Doo characters instead of a ship's cat you have Scooby, who is a cyber dog, basically a dog with cybernetic enhancements that allows it to do primitive speech.
Like Zoink Scoob, that thing has a...
I'm just now envisioning Shaggy as like the equivalent of Parker and Brett, just hanging out in the engineering section, getting high and eating like a giant sandwich with the cyber dog as they're like
I, I
rooting
want the
through to try to make sure the atmospheric scrubbers aren't breaking.
I want the Scooby-Doo chase scene, but with the alien.
With the classic music too, and like there's just like they're going through all of the corridors, and there's like a bunch of doors to rooms that don't have doors inside them, but you just kind of have that happen.
As a shout out to the fact they only had one hall in the first movie, they just keep running back and forth.
At one point, you see the Shaggy character holding the xenomorph bridal style inexplicably.
So the skills: heavy machinery,
Well, yeah, roughnecks and engineers have to basically do a lot of percussive maintenance.
stamina, physical endurance, vigor tests,
Yep.
either also for surviving in the cold vacuum space or to resist a deadly contagion.
Oh yeah, stamina is kind of important, mainly because it deals with not getting killed instantly in vacuum or from poison.
And you have close combat,
Because,
mobility,
yeah, movement, piloting, which is your ability to fly,
range combat,
gun.
observation,
Oh, by the way,
comtech.
for group stealth, when you and the other characters in a group sneak side by side, the character with the lowest skill rolls for it, and the result applies to the whole group.
Oh no. Oh no, I can see that going very wrong in many
It'll
cases.
go so well. You'll have like one dude trip and fall, and you hear like loud noise. He's like, "Ah, fuck!" And
But
everyone's
then he
panicking.
adds, he has a story point. Somehow the aliens or the corporate security just don't notice it.
No. What happens is you hear one of the security officers from Seegson going, Barry, are you listening to that terrible show from the 2080s again?" He's like, "No, man," and like they start arguing over this terrible show where like the idiot husband character's routine line is, "Oh fuck." I mean, if you need them to succeed to continue in your cinematic story, because that's the thing with failures, you have to find a way to succeed somehow. You could have them get captured, but you could also just have it be like that. But also, you give them a stress point, and also you'd have to give them all stress.
Then you have comtech,
Yep.
survival, manipulation, manipulating a group.
Oh yeah.
You address the group's leader or spokesperson. You get a -1 for your roll if your opponent has more people on their side. If there's no given leader, it's harder. Every single opponent acts in.
Also, negotiating positions. You can have other modifiers if you have more people. What you ask for doesn't cost your opponent much. Your opponent's in bad shape, or if you've helped them previously, or if you have a good presentation. Henchmen 21 and 24 arguing on comms over old TV show while my dumbass is trying to hide. No, and then last but not least, you have one of the other disposables goes, "Oh no, it's loose." Include alien scream, crappy alien alarm, and you go, "Oh, I know that noise, dude. That's so iconic." Alien rips apart another man alive as they're gushing over the noise.
I'm thinking, the Monarch, when do we get the license for the alien sound? I don't want to get sued by Fox.
And then you just see like blood splatter on the wall, like it's comical.
Well, no, that is alien blood. It's being beaten to death by Brock Sampson.
Yeah. No. What happens is like
I
half of the
feel
Monarch's
sad for the
minions are
alien.
dead, and then it culminates in Brock Sampson beating it to death, and the only injury is to his hands, and he just shrugs them off and shakes off the acid. They just look slightly burned.
Oh, it's. I still want a Venture Brothers RPG. I know people made perhaps versions of it, but I don't know if there's the right system.
The musical strings are diegetic. Actually, if you really want me to talk about the iconic thing about Alien, in my opinion, is its soundtrack, not its stupid trailer alarm noise. Like it's that weird. There's this weird string thing where it's like
Like, da, 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 da.
that one too. Like it's the iconic aspect. It's not that stupid alarm. Fucking hell.
And also the alien.
That too. It's a good thing they
So,
legitimately got Giger. They had a really shitty monster design before that. Funnily enough, the chestburster originally looked like, in their own words, a turkey as seen through the eyes of LSD. Like a demonic turkey through the eyes of a person going through an LSD withdrawal.
well, it was the 70s.
So, talents. So, here's the thing. These are special abilities you got. For Colonial Marines, it was banter. You can release the tension in your team with some friendly banter. Your stress level and the stress level of everyone within short range of you drops by 2 steps every turn spent in a safe place. There's also Overkill. You can trigger the Overkill effect when you make a panic roll. Basically, you turn your fear into more success, which is very fun. And also, again, I will say the one complaint I have about how they statted out Colonial Marines is they very clearly had a template, and his name was Hudson.
Or most of the Colonial
Well, no,
Marshals, a lot
past
of.
the limit is actually Vasquez. Funnily enough, this is one of the cool things in Aliens. The actress who played her actually, well, first off, she was Jewish. She was not. She was actually not Hispanic at all. She had to
Well, no.
affect the style.
Well, no, she could be Sephardic.
No, she wasn't at all. She was like I think very Ashkenazic.
Oh.
Like no ties, I believe, whatsoever to Latino culture, if I remember correctly. But also, she had to do her own stunts. Like that smart gun she was carrying. That thing weighed like 40 pounds. She had to be able to carry that through every shot.
Impressive.
Like genuinely, she had to go through massive physical conditioning because she was small. She was a little, like, that was the whole point. She was small, but she had the biggest personality of them all, and also was pretty much the tough one. Which that's again how you do a strong female character.
What? I thought we just had to make her an asshole.
I mean, she was, but she was a likable one. Also, she cared for her teammates. Legitimately, she almost killed Lieutenant Gorman. I believe she almost killed Lieutenant Gorman because her wingman Drake, who they were very close, died. Drake is the dude with like the bleached hair that got his face eaten by the alien acid.
But that's not what a strong woman is supposed to be. A strong woman is supposed to be what a man is: uncaring, following their own lead, dumb, violent, and somehow good at everything.
With no struggle whatsoever.
Because that's what men do.
As for colonial marshals, you have authority. You could actually have Eric Cartman's like, respect my authority. So you can do that.
And then investigator. And
for each success you roll, you can ask the GM a bunch of questions like what happened, so you can get stuff from them.
Outright getting it from the GM.
Which is nice. You can also subdue them, which is pretty useful.
And for company agent, cunning. So anything is to be on the lookout for anything to give you the edge. Push any skill based on wits twice.
Which is pretty great. You get a reroll.
Personal safety. The interests of the company always come first, no matter what, and you represent the company. If you are attacked or otherwise end up in fatal danger, and if another or friendly NPC is within short range, you can make a manipulation roll. You succeed, you see the threat coming, and find a clever way to make the other character suffer the attack or hazard instead of you.
Yes, you can. You can legitimately use someone as a human shield.
Oh, that is not going to end well in some campaigns.
I mean, here's the thing: if you brought on a company agent, your players should know on some level what they're likely to do.
No, now I'm imagining it's an entire team of company agents, and they're just stabbing each other back.
Oh, I love the idea. Like, you have player versus player, and you just have you like have not the xenomorph. You decide to do a predator campaign. You have like the Yautja just looking confused at their hunting buddy. Like, what the fuck are these humans doing? It's like they're trying to sacrifice one of them to us, and they just leave out of disgust because they're clearly not worthy sport. And then you have the one that was the most backstabby go, I knew it! If we acted like cowardly rat bastards, those aliens wouldn't kill us. Exactly as planned. And then his head gets blown off by one of the Yautja out of just, like, disgust.
And then take control. You know how to make people do what you want. You don't feel bad about doing it. You roll manipulation using wits instead of empathy.
Which is their good stat.
The kid talents. Beneath notice, when you roll for critical injury, you get to re-roll the dice and choose the result you prefer.
Mm-hmm.
Dodging. Close combat, you use mobility instead of close combat. You can dodge a creature's signature attack.
Which is pretty
Nimble.
impressive.
Push any skill based on agility twice.
I like the mental image of this kid 1v1ing the giant blue man engineer. Like, the horrible CGI blue man engineer.
Imagine for a combat character, more like short round.
Short round with a machine gun. No, short round with a pulse rifle with a grenade launcher attachment.
There you go, Mr. Jones.
Oh, also, if you're wondering, in the Alien Romulus trailer, just as a quick side note, they tried to do a bootleg pulse rifle to get the member berries flowing. To go like, oh, I remember when Ripley was in the bottom of the atmospheric plant to save New. I remember. I saw it, and oh god, I like that's so tiring. That actually is such a boring thing to do.
So, medic, calming presence, reduce stress level within short range. You cannot use this talent on yourself. Compassion, push any skill roll based on it through twice. Field surgeon, you get a +2 to modification to medical aid when treating somebody who's about to die from a critical injury.
Which is very useful.
Well, that isn't what a medic does. A doctor heals people. A medic makes people more comfortable while they die.
What is the? Oh, is this part of the Three Worlds Empire, which includes Canada? Oh wait, that's United Americas.
No, that was a red versus blue reference.
You can give commands in order in combat to be fast rather than slow, which is pretty neat. You could do orders twice.
Influence and again empathy twice and pull rank. You can use your command ability to order any non-officer, PC or NPC around as long as they belong in the same organization.
Full throttle, you get a +2 modification to piloting rolls. Like the back of your hand, you know the vehicle really well.
So +2 to piloting, and reckless is agility twice. Roughneck is resilient, roll strength anytime you suffer damage. For each 6, 1 point of damage is eliminated. If all damage is eliminated, you suffer none of it. Long haul, you may ignore all ones from a single stress roll. And that's per act in cinematic and once per gaming campaign. And true grit, roll twice, push twice on strength skill rolls. Finally, scientist analysis, roll observation to ask the GM any of these questions.
Yep, you have to answer truthfully, but they are allowed to give vague or incomplete.
Breakthrough, automatically pass an observation roll of your choice. And inquisitive, push any skill with wits twice. So a lot of those, your specialty skills, you just are able to push twice.
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't sound like much, but it's really useful given you have a whole dice pool to play with.
And there's a bunch of generic.
Oh yeah, these are ones you can pick on instead so that you can make a more interesting character.
Things like Light Eater to roll 2 fewer dice for supply level. healer, recovering easier from injuries, machine gunner, firing full auto is the only way to get the job done, in your opinion. When firing on fully automatic, your stress level does not increase.
The GM just shrugs. I didn't get that far in my notes. Yeah, that's the thing with the scientists. Sometimes they're probably the class that's most likely to break this setting. But yeah, they have a bunch of talents, and then we get on to combat and panic. You're all gonna die. The only question is how you check out. Do you want it on your feet or on your fucking knees, begging? Which is from Alien 3. That was him inspiring the prisoners to, like, look, this thing is gonna kill all of us. Do you really just want to give up?
So you have maps and zones. Considering you have maps, I'd honestly break out the miniatures. I mean, I
Uh,
generally would say break out the miniatures, but I do. There are alien-specific miniatures out there.
so yeah, there's a zone. It's divided into zones. Zones are rooms, corridors, or an area of the ground. How big a zone varies. It's a few steps across up to about 25 meters. It's generally smaller in a cramped environment. Basically, a whole map is, the entire thing, like the ship. Zones are the room you're in. You can also play without maps because the whole thing about free leagues is they like theater of the mind. So if you really don't feel like playing around with maps, you can just do theater of the mind. Works best
So
in close quarters.
measuring time. So a round is 5 to 10 seconds, a turn is 5 to 10 minutes, and a shift is 5 to 10 hours. Let's describe when to use these.
Yep. There's also range categories. Engaged is right next to you. Short is within a few meters. Medium is up to 25. It's in an adjacent zone. Long is several zones away. And then there's extreme. Some features include cluttered, dark, cramp. What this does is it gives modifiers to the area you're fighting in. Here's a nice image of this guy trying to take on a fucking Xeno with a stick. It's probably not going to go well.
That brings us to stealth mode.
Yep.
In stealth mode, enemy movement is handled serially by the GM. Enemies can be active or passive. Actives are aware of you, passives are not.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot spot active enemies who choose to remain hidden. You can spot, detect passive enemies if they're in the same zone or line of sight. Active enemies may try to sneak up on you for a sneak attack, so the GM informs you that the threat is moving in on you and rolls mobility for the enemy against your observation. There's also motion trackers. Trackers will automatically detect any large moving object.
Oh yeah, motion trackers are a thing. I do like that they have that as an item. Alien versus Primitive. They kind of did that with the Predator movie, Prey. The only problem is they kind of fucked it up by trying to be progressive, they accidentally completely fucked over the native tribe that they were based on, which were the Mayan people. Which is very,
Wait,
what?
they weren't. They were based on Mayans.
I
I thought
think
they
they
were
were.
based on. No, they were based on probably some Algonquin group because they
Oh, the
had them fighting
Algonquin?
the
Okay.
French.
Yeah, I didn't watch it, so I only know that they got the tribal traditions wrong, and that in a time of war like that, it would have been the men in charge. Because Algonquin, yes, women are very important in Algonquin tribes, but they usually deal with day-to-day diplomacy and essentially things like farming and how the city, how the tribe is doing. This would have been given to the war chief. What I'm trying to say is that they're racist against the tribes because they only use them for their visuals. And they call us the racists. How dare
Um,
how dare you?
Admittedly, I would want to see Predator versus a variety of ancient human civilizations.
I legitimately think it'd be really funny if you did Predator versus Jason the Argonauts.
Someone did a short film of Predator. Is that Predator and Alien versus sort of Japanese?
I mean, legitimately, you could do an amazing movie about like a feudal Japanese samurai having to fight a predator. Like you could base it on like an Akira Kurosawa film.
No, I got an idea. Roman Legion versus Predator. We're going Pittsburgh Forest.
A really fun trick I always find when it comes to these sort of things are I kind of base what the first two movies did, which, if you're wondering, the first two movies started as a genre piece, in one case an action film, and another one a gritty cop drama. So you start with the point of view of you're going to make a different film. Like in this case, it'd be a period piece about a samurai, and then you add the Predator in it.
Which now means I can do a rom-com that ends up becoming a Predator movie.
Seinfeld versus the Predator. Oh no, Kramer! It's down to Kramer with a gun versus the Yautja.
And he actually fires the bullet and accidentally ricochets, and then hits the Predator.
No, you could
that.
do like a Christmas story. You could do like a Christmas feel good movie, like with a kid having to deal with the Predator, like I don't know, stalking the. Well, actually, no, they hate the cold, so it wouldn't. You couldn't do a Christmas movie, except if it was like in Australia or something.
What other weird
Australian
genre?
Home Alone, where a kid has to deal with the Predator. And and instead of like the Kevin McAllister like cartoony traps, it's actually lethal.
Some weird French impressionist film came out with Predator, and by that I mean the Predator shows up and beats the director to death.
Predator versus Crusaders. Yeah, you could totally do that. You could do Kingdom of Heaven. You do Ridley Scott's Kingdom of Heaven initially with Balian, only it's like a different character and like their arc is different, and then it culminates in them having to fight the Predator in like the streets of Jerusalem.
Nicolas Cage versus the Predator. I have no idea what movie it ends up being, but it's Nicolas Cage versus the Predator.
Okay, the Nicholas. How about the one where he's really sold up as this badass and he's like fighting the Five Nights at Freddy's animatronics and just turns into the Predator. Like the Predator decides to fight the giant animatronic robots, scary puppets that go boo.
That could be fun. I've never played Friday Nights at Freddy's, so I don't know the strength of those
They're possessed by
animatronics.
ghosts.
Ghost versus Predator. Wait, Ghostbusters versus Predator.
I just have the mental image. I mean, the problem is, oh yeah, the Ghostbusters movie came out with Frozen Empire. It looks mid. It looks very forgettable. I think it relies too much on legacy characters.
Predator in World War One.
You could do something like that. I think a cool one you could do is like a Predator World War II, like Saving Private Ryan, but it's Predator.
Oh god, I just realized. Lord forgive me. Holocaust film Predator.
I'm just now envisioning as a massive shitpost Jojo Rabbit, but suddenly a Yautja appears to like.
No, it's Schindler's List, and then he murders them in Goth.
You could do that. No, I got it. Okay, this is the last Predator shitpost. You do a crime drama in the style of either Breaking Bad or The Godfather. It's like an up and coming mafia gun that has to deal with the Predator who has targeted him because he's one of the better hired guns by the crime family he's employed. That could actually be fun.
It's not even forgetting the Godfather angle.
Downfall, but an alien is in the bunker. Just
historical drama, another moneymaker. Okay, back to the game.
Yeah, so actions and initiative.
So you get, this is the cards thing. It's draw 10 cards, 1 through 10, or the custom alien deck. So they do want you to break out cards. Aces counting as ones.
I would disagree. In this one, just roll a d10. Just roll a d10. my
Though
opinion,
I
that's
don't
completely pointless. Or alternatively, since you have d6 dice pool, roll 2d6.
Well,
Highest result.
here's what it is. Anyone taking part in the conflict and the NPCs draw a card.
No.
Well, that way then if you get matching dice, you don't have to re-roll. You already know which dice are picking.
Yeah, but you can get cards of the same suite.
They also do make the issue if the number of commands is above 10, GM splits the NPCs into.
Yeah, no, that's why I
And
prefer the dice system. Yeah, you have to re-roll, but like legitimately, why bust out cards when you can just like, use your d6s right fucking there?
fair. So you
Like,
get
roll
slow and
2d6,
fast
get the
actions.
equivalent. Fuck that.
You get 1 slow, 1 fast, or 2 fast.
Yeah.
Slow actions usually call for a rolling of the skill.
You have to describe your actions, so you describe which actions you wish to perform. Some will give your opponent the opportunity to react. Here's
Now we know the real
examples.
reason. So now we know the real reason Mustache Man shot him. He saw Alien Covenant.
He saw Alien Covenant, and as soon as he saw the David thing where he was like dancing, doing like I think he was dancing as he like infected the ship with like his stupid shit.
No, you know what caused Hitler to kill him? As soon as David was playing Wagner. You're ruining my anti-Semitic German music.
He sees Michael Fassbender doing that. Yeah, that just instantly. So some slow actions include crawling, close combat, shooting a firearm, throwing weapons, reloading, first aid, stopping panic, giving order, blah blah blah. Fast ones including running, moving through doors, getting up, drawing weapons, blocking attacks, shoving, and yeah. I find it interesting grapple is considered fast.
Yeah.
Is this live? Yeah, this is live.
So yeah, they
Live
go over
reaction.
the various attacks, how close combat works.
Helping
It
others.
is detailed for the combat.
What now?
It is detailed for the combat.
It's a little fiddly, but I think if you're used to this sort of stuff, it's not too bad. It's just something you have to play for a bit, and then you kind of get into it.
So here's why grappling is short, or short skill, or fast. The opponent drops, you both grapple the opponent to the ground. The only action they can perform is break free, which is a slow action that succeeds if the opponent wins an opposed close combat roll. While you're grappling, the only action you can perform is a grapple.
Oh, so that because grappling kind of you can't do anything. Okay, that makes sense. You can also retreat. You can shove. These are things you can do.
They get your range combat. These are all your combat moves. Damage.
Where the heck is your Kingdom Hearts RPG? Blocked by a bunch of IP rights issues. Also, Square Enix is too busy trying to commit financial suicide with NFTs and and making very forgettable, hyper generic fantasy games. I don't know. Final Fantasy just kind of looks like generic slop now.
Ooh, the critical injuries.
Oh yeah. So range attack is its thing. Auto fire. Blah blah blah. Let's get into critical injuries. Oh, they also have Overwatch, by the way.
So critical injuries, winded, stunned. If you have winded and stunned, making if they both have the same effects, why have two different options?
So this uses what's called the D66 system. This is where you roll. This is where you basically roll two, if I recall.
Crotch hit.
I forget how
1 point of
D66
damage.
works.
You roll one six-sided die is the 10s and the other six-sided die is the 1s.
Ah, thank you. Sorry, it's been a while since I've seen a D66. It's kind of an odd duck, but that's fine.
I've seen it a lot in Warhammer.
It's been a while. So yeah,
So
the higher the results, the worse it is.
Yeah. Crotch hit. 1 point of damage at every roll from ability in close combat.
Yeah.
Gouged eye. Broken ribs. Ruptured intestines.
Yep.
Disease. You get a disease for that.
Well, yeah, because if you've damaged your GI tract, there's a lot of bacteria that's just getting out of there.
If one of your arteries is cut, if the arm artery is cut, you can't use an arm.
Which is weird because you hypothetically can. It's only if you damage the muscles.
Cracked spine. Paralyzed from the neck down. If not given medical aid in time, the effect is permanent.
Oh, if you're wondering, it also has the trait, is it fatal? If it says yes, yeah.
Yeah, you have to roll for that. Ruptured jugular. Ruptured aorta. Disembowelment. Instant death.
Also, if you're wondering time limits, this is basically you have to get this dealt with or you die.
No, that's recovery.
No, that's healing time. Time limit is when you get attended to.
Oh.
Because if you don't get a punctured lung healed within a day, you will die.
I love that the last 4, they're all instant death, but they just have a unique effect. Crushed skull. Story ends here. Pierced head. Die immediately. Impaled heart. Your heart beats for the last time.
You could play your wheelchair character just like in D&D. Yeah, you could. I mean, legitimately, this is a sci-fi setting. You probably can. Also, you have what's called permanent mental trauma.
Yay!
That's something
Phobia.
that can happen.
Alcoholism. Nightmares. Depression. Drug use. And amnesia. And amnesia.
And the brain damage. And the
The
brain
what?
damage. And the brain damage.
Handling. Well, actually, that's a long-term memory loss. It's long-term amnesia. You can only recall who you are, the other characters are.
Oh no, D66 does make sense being used in Japan because a lot of Japanese systems use D6s. It makes perfect sense. It's just I don't play enough D6 systems that I kind of forgot how it works. I just kind of forgot how it works. It happens. Also, each critical injury has a specific effect that you suffer during healing time. Also, you can recover all your lost health points, but you still suffer the effects.
So here are the increases for stress level. You push a skill roll, you fire burst or full auto, suffer 1 or more points of damage, go without sleep, food, or water, form a coup de grace. A scientist in your team fails to use the analysis talent.
Well, yeah, because isn't it kind of creepy that a scientist studies something? I don't know what the fuck that is. Wouldn't you be kind of concerned?
I'm just thinking results are inconclusive and your mind just shatters.
Oh, it's like how in Powered by the Apocalypse you can call someone a dumb motherfucker and they just eventually die from the you can bully people to death in Powered by the Apocalypse and it's so stupid.
A member of your own crew attacks you, a person nearby is revealed to be an android, encounter certain locations by the scenario. As long as you keep your stress in check, use it to your advantage. But if you get the panic roll, when you roll 1 on a stress die, you witness friendly character suffering from a panic attack. You are pinned down by a range attack, suffer critical injury, attacked by a strange alien creature that you've never seen before, or a terrifying event occurs. Roll d6, add your stress level, and check the table to the right. If you roll a 10 or higher on the panic roll, you'll be forced to perform a specific action. If you're suffering from a panic effect, which is a 7+, forced to make another panic roll, the new panic effect replaces the previous one. And overkill lets you replace the effect of a panic roll of 11 higher by the overkill effect.
Yeah.
When triggered, you immediately attack your enemies, and you won't stop until you or all your enemies inside are broken.
So you can stop panic by making a command roll. You are broken or a turn passes. You can also relieve stress. This happens as long as you spend a turn in a safe area or an area that's reasonably secured from enemies. at least as far as you're concerned. Also, permanent mental trauma. If you've rolled a result of 13 or more, yeah, you have to make an empathy roll. If the roll succeeds, you develop a permanent mental trauma.
I'm liking some of the effects. 12. Scream.
Yeah, you just scream.
You flee. Go berserk. Catatonic. You collapse to the floor and can't talk or move, staring blankly into oblivion.
Yes, you can legitimately just become comatose. This is something that can happen. Basically, you feel completely hopeless. This is something that can happen if you're stressed enough.
And again, I do like you add a d6 to your current stress level, meaning
Yeah.
you either need 14, 14 stress dice or you need 9.
I
Yeah,
mean,
you're
if
breaking.
you're unrelenting with alien monster encounters or just bad shit happening, yeah, you can get someone catatonic.
And again, if you or the NPCs start panicking, everyone else might panic as well.
Well, yeah, because the thing is, like, even just getting a nervous twitch, that raises everyone's stress level by 1 because, yeah. So here's some other hazards, conditions. A lot of planets are not great, but here's some of the things you got to worry about. Starvation. After a day without sufficient food supply, you begin to starve. You cannot recover health or relieve stress. Every day you have to make a stamina roll. If you fail, you suffer a point of damage and your stress increases by 1. If you are broken while starving, you can die.
Same
Dehydrated.
thing for water.
After, yeah, this one's a
Yeah.
lot quicker.
What I would think is after a certain time, like, I don't know, obviously that'd be way longer
You
than
still
a
need X
standard
amount of
game.
food.
Yeah, but what I'm referring to is that if you eat too much, you actually could die. Because that's what happens if your
Yeah,
body.
you could. Also, exhausted is another one. You have to make a stamina roll each day, and if the roll fails, you just you just collapse. Also,
Oh
vacuums
no!
are a
You
problem.
make a stamina. So let's describe what happens with explosive decompression. The absence of pressure creates gas bubbles in your blood, causing your whole body to swell up. This results in crippling pain, all while the raw you and the nearest star sears your skin. You can't hold your breath. If you do, your lungs collapse.
Yeah, they pop.
How isn't space wonderful?
Yeah, don't you
So
like how you're both boiling and freezing at the same time?
you must make a stamina roll every round without protection in a vacuum. The test doesn't require an action. You get a -1 every single round. A failed roll means you drop directly to 0 health and must make a death roll round until you die or enter a pressurized area.
Oh, actually, in the theatrical cut of the original Alien film, you know the bit where Ripley has a nosebleed?
Oh,
That's actually
that
from a cut section because originally there was supposed to be a scene, and actually it's an Alien Isolation's DLC where you try to blow the alien into out of the locker.
that is also something. The alien does not suffer decompression.
It's because of its carapace.
So explosive decompression. Firing guns inside a spacecraft is dangerous. If a shot misses its target in a room next to an outer bulkhead, the weapon will inflict its base damage on the bulkhead.
Yep.
If the air fails to stop the shot, it will penetrate, which means bad news for everyone. The
Yep.
air in the room will vent out into space in a turn. The intense draft will require everyone to make a stamina roll.
Oh, by the way, ships automatically seal off breach compartments, so have fun.
Once the air is gone, anyone still in the vented compartment will suffer the effects of.
Yeah, it's fun.
And there's freezing.
So, a lot of planets and situations, things get cold. You need to make stamina rolls at regular intervals. The colder it is, the more frequently you need to roll. If it's above freezing, once a day is fine enough. In Sub-Zero, I have to roll once per shift, and in the deep cold of space, it's every turn. You suffer a point of damage each time you fail, and if you're broken, you literally have to death roll. Otherwise, you die.
SS-13 levels of alien encounters. This could actually work for SS-13.
Yeah, you could if you wanted an
Just,
SS-13 game. This is for you.
just make the consequences happen more frequently.
Falling on a hard surface immediately inflicts amount of damage to you equal to the height of the fall in meters divided by 2, rounding all fractions down. Which I like. They actually have rules for falling mechanics.
Explosions, explosions, fire, disease.
Oh yeah, but here's a fun fact. Do you want to know? Did you know you don't actually have to have a xenomorph kill your players? You could legitimately, if you felt like it, do a zombie movie using this. Zombie movie
Space
in space.
AIDS. Or simple cholera outbreak.
Yeah.
Or
Also,
influenza.
don't forget nuclear radiation, aka, in my opinion, the worst way to humanly die.
As your body cells slowly die.
Oh, you legitimately just start rotting while you're still alive.
You want to know what a ghoul is? Someone who suffers from the acute radiation and is still somehow alive.
Yeah, it's not great.
That isn't. Permanent radiation. There's a risk that the radiation will permanently stay in your body.
Oh yeah.
Each time you're about to heal a rad, roll stress die. If a 1 shows up, it's not healed, instead becomes permanent.
Yeah, this represents the fact that you still are hot sometimes.
Is there anything that has you irradiating out of your body?
Oh, okay, so I can tell you there is, I actually know a lot about nuclear accidents. One of the first microreactors that the US ever made was SL1, and during a routine maintenance of the machine, the control rod was overly pulled out. It was a tiny thing that basically broke every safety regulation you would possibly have in modern reactors. It only had 5 control rods because it was designed to be almost portable, at least by a heavy helicopter or by a ship. And one rod completely controlled whether or not you could turn it on or off because of its construction and location. Guy pulled it up by about 5 times more than he should have. Instantly went prompt critical. Killed him immediately by being impaled onto the ceiling, and the other 2 basically died of their burns and injuries. Their bodies were so radioactive you legitimately could not fucking get near them for more than a minute.
Where are the bodies now?
In lead-lined caskets on the grounds of Los Alameda's base,
Yeah.
along with other nuclear waste. Fun fact, the
'Cause
original autopsy, the guy who was impaled, since he had the highest dose, his head and hands were so radioactive that to even perform the autopsy in a way that wouldn't risk everyone on site, they had to chop it off with a saw and bury it in a lead-lined box on site. he was only allowed to do the autopsy within less than 10 minutes, because otherwise it was still rated as too high. Their blood was heavily radioactive, with all metals in it being activated and actively leaking out electrons and neutrons.
yeah, nuclear power, incredibly useful for energy. Holy fuck, do I not want to be near it?
You can kind of tell why. You could totally do an alien campaign without the alien. You could do it with just an alien virus, or just, oh no, Wayland
Chernobyl.
Yutani experimented with a strain of. People go with rabies for your zombie outbreak. You want to know what the 2 other most horrifying methods you can do instead are? Prion disease, which are misfolded proteins that actually can stay perfectly intact outside of the body for years and needs high heat as a melting point of steel to destroy itself. That's also the source of mad cow disease. Or here's one I thought up. Englaria, a variant of Englaria fowleri, the brain-eating amoeba. Which, by the way, you can find in a lot of freshwater sources in the south. Yeah, you could do fungus, but I don't like to think of The Last of Us, mainly because it reminds me of just where it turned into.
Turns everyone into psychotic lesbians.
Yeah, and it also Oh god, I could talk about that, but I'm not
And
gonna.
men into cucks.
I think my favorite part is the time Neil Druckmann tried to show he was a big deal by setting himself up for like a red carpet display for the Last of Us TV show. No one fucking cared. It was on par with. I was reminded of Wayne Knight as Dennis Nedry going, "We got Druckmann here." See, nobody cares. Just I'm envisioning Wayne Knight doing that to him. No one cared. None of the people in Hollywood bothered talking with him. They actively ignored him when possible.
Well, he's not involved in it, so
It's hilarious. Also, drowning and suffocation are ways. Also, synthetics. Synthetic individuals are increasingly common and appear on Frontier as well. Some are open about their artificials, others pose as humans. In combat, they act like humans and they roll skill rolls normally, but there are differences. They tend to have higher attribute scores than human because they are superhuman. They do not push skill rolls and they don't have a stress level. They never make panic. If a synthetic is broken, you roll for a critical injury on the table to the right. Until the android suffers system shutdown, it can continue to operate, only suffering the effects of the injury. Androids cannot heal, a shift of work and Comtech is required to repair them. And androids don't make death rolls, they can't die. They suffer a system shutdown, they can be reactivated to communicate with. This requires a power source, a turn of work, and Comtech. An android revived in this manner can be repaired to working order, but will suffer permanent mental trauma.
so I like this. It's illegal to program an android for violence against humans. Modern synthetics are governed by behavioral inhibition. Earlier models are not. Expensive bypass packages are available on the black market. An android that goes too long without scheduled maintenance can also begin to experience mental degradation, psychosis, which will render the inhibitors moot.
It's low-key hinted that that might have been what happened with Ash, since he was on a long-haul journey.
No, Ash, I believe Ash was the older model.
He was a Hyperdyne Systems Model 121. Model A21, A1. A1's and Bishop's own terms tended to be twitchy. I think I might have been confusing it with. I think that might be their explanation for why David turned space crazy in Covenant, because he was on too long. I think that
Now
might have
down to
been
the
it.
xenomorphs. So the xenomorphs, they get to act twice or even 3 times in a round.
Yeah, you can't do that.
Signature attack, only attack in close combat at engaged range. Anytime the xenomorph attacks, you roll d6, console a table for the signature attacks. And when it is reduced to 0 health, it isn't broken. Instead, you roll a d6 and a special critical injury table.
They also have an armor rating, which is not fun.
And of course, they have their special abilities. Yeah, like the acid blood.
Mm-hmm. Vehicle combat. Yeah, vehicle combat's a thing. You have
So operating
passengers,
vehicle
maneuverability, speed, hull, and armor.
damage to vehicles is based on components.
Mm-hmm.
So you have your aerial vehicles, and obviously then you have your component damage, criticals. That's onto the gear.
I like how component damage can result in a fuel explosion. Have fun.
You got your classics. You got your M4A3 service pistol.
Yep, which is a 10mm round, by the way.
The
Actually, no,
357.
it's not 10mm. I think it's 11mm actually.
The 357 Magnum, which I believe that is from Isolation.
It is. Most Frontier Marshals use it.
Your Ava pistol.
Laser welder.
You got a bolt gun.
It's a construction tool that you can turn into a gun.
Did they rip that EVA pistol off of Star Wars? It looks like Han Solo's blaster.
Oh my god, they might have. They might have. They just put another scope on it.
There's 2 scopes for some reason.
I don't like very strong cyberpunk 2014 energy with the bad weapon drawing.
Rifles. The Armot M4 1A pulse rifle.
That's the classic.
The AK-4047.
Yep. Again, remember.
It's a pulse assault rifle.
Remember, I did mention that one of the scripts for Alien 3 had them crash instead of on the prison on equivalent to communist Russia.
But why call it the 4047? We're not in year 4047.
Because they didn't know what to actually name it. It's just supposed to be it's the better version. Honestly, what
It's
they
not. No, it's
probably
not
should
as
have
accurate. It's sturdier.
what they should have named it was the AK-147.
It's basically AK-47. Still works after being thrown off a cliff and left underwater for a month.
Which is actually funny because no, yeah, you can make it fire, but it will rapidly break if you do shit like that. You still want to maintain them.
Well, they said still works, not work efficiently.
The scope rifle, that's a thing. Gauge pump action, that is actually the pump action that Hicks use.
The phased plasma pulse rifle,
Yep.
the 40-watt range.
This is actually something. This is something Hudson brags about. He lists a lot of the equipment that the Colonial Marines have. This is actually one of them.
The harpoon grappling gun.
This
I
is
don't
more
know
for
where that.
docking. Yeah.
I think the shotgun. I think that's from. I don't know if it's from the movies or it's from Isolation.
That is actually, I think, from either Isolation or maybe even the Colonial Marines game. Because while it's a bad game, like, you can't really blame it. Also, the harpoon grappling gun is from the first Alien movie.
Also, you can get radioactive bullets.
Yep, dirty
Congratulations on
bullets.
being wounded and irradiated.
They're tipped with uranium-238. They reduce the armor
Hey,
rating of any target by 2, and then they get irradiated.
2 scopes for 2 targets. I guess when you want to share your vision with your buddy.
So other
Yes, the,
ones
the,
include
the
the...
fire team needed to use pistol.
So they also have grenade launchers, which are usually attached underslung onto a heavy pulse rifle,
You get your smart gun.
which is the classic that's used by Vasquez. She was a smart gunner. Funnily enough, smart gun operators are actually supposed to be the most aggressive people in the unit.
You got your
Like in the
incinerator.
technical manual, they actually explain what the roles are. Usually, it's people that are very aggressive and very good at calculating firing trajectories that are smart gunners because they have to actually be the ones to know where to throw down a shitload of bullets in range.
You've got your incinerator unit.
Flamer
Your
units, yep.
auto, you got your automated sentry gun.
Which
You
actually,
got your
the Aliens director's cut has a scene where they actually use them. They use them again.
you've got the electronic ball breakers in the form of the electroshock grenades.
Another nod to something that Hudson mentioned.
You have your close combat weapon, stun baton,
I'm
and the
surprised they didn't
mechanical
mention the
cutting
sharp
torch.
stick yet.
Well, it sounds like it's a. I think that didn't you say it was a nuclear weapon?
I mean, I'm joking because there's also just the joke he trained you to use a wooden stick. It depends on which arsenal you look at.
You
Also,
got
the
your
stun baton is a nod to the first Alien, but also something I believe you can make in Isolation.
yes. Yeah, I recall you can have that. You have your personal armor, compression unit, pressure suit.
The ape suit, which is a nice nod to Starship Troopers.
Oh, really?
Yeah, ape suit.
And the Caterpillar
They even
P5000 powered
reference the
worker loader.
dogcatcher units, which is another nod to the K9 units from Starship Trooper. That's cute.
You wait. That means this was made by Caterpillar. Oh, the company's still in business.
Yep.
Now your computer mainframes.
Oh, before we go
Mother.
into the, I like what kit they have. I do think they should have had a few more UPP equipment though. They only had the AK-47. They should have had a couple more from them.
I mean, what else could you have that's suitably communist themed?
They don't have the equivalent of a rifle or an RPG. They could have easily have
Well,
made an RPG, like an armor bunker buster thing that's like a explosive on a tube.
then again, you're not fighting the UPP normally. This is an alien RPG.
Yeah, but it's just something I would mention. Also, mother units. This is an example of them. They're I don't think that most modern stuff in Aliens would use a mother unit. These are more from the 2090s to 2020s, 2120s,
And then Apollo,
which is actually, well, that's a Seegson model.
as from Alien Isolation.
Yep.
I do like the cost they put here, and that Apollo's the cheapest.
Well, that's the whole point. Seegson's logic was they wanted to undercut Mother
Oh,
because the Mother
data.
units were more. They could do more, but Apollo was supposed to be cheaper and more useful to people who couldn't afford a Mother unit because it's supposed to be comparable to, I think, the 6500. Basically, you paid half the price and you got a pretty okay module.
Data storage. Long data disk. After several data losses from electromagnetic pulses in the first half of the 21st century, it was made to reintroduce reinforced physical storage systems.
Which also explains why you have the retro tech.
So the long data disk, 10 zettabytes of data, and it only costs $30. Isn't it like a terabyte? Can we like, depending on the
I believe a zettabyte is actually like 1,000 terabytes. Yeah.
yeah, but 1 terabyte can go up to like, hey, it's cheaper now, but I remember seeing it for like 100 for like an SSD.
It's $5 here. Don't worry.
No, $5 for 120 of those.
Yeah, $5.
This is actually a nice way to show technology advancing, even though clearly it was made in the 70s.
You
It's like,
know,
oh yeah, all these, all this stuff. Oh, it's processing over 120 terabytes of data.
you know another thing I will point out that I think is really funny. This also low-key implies that technology has gotten even more bloated with its inefficiencies. Like, there's no efforts to actually shrink the size of a file program. They don't do any
Okay,
of that now. They just let it stay bloated, and they just hope storage beats it.
that
Kind of like
ex-
modern AAA gaming.
that explains So in this universe, yeah, they got the new version of Pong. It's up to a zettabyte full of data, but it's just Pong.
It's just hyperly unoptimized Pong. Some
And
other
you have your
kit you got is
yeah,
diagnostics and display.
Seegson magnetic tape recorder, computer terminals, IFF transponders, holotabs.
I love that they keep referencing Seegson because they are supposed to be pretty, like, yes, they're not doing as well financially at this time period, but they're still a
It's also
major company.
it's also because it has a lot uh, more of this technology available from the lore.
120 terabytes can just about run the Star Wars Battlefront remake. I mean, you're still horrible screen tearing, though, unfortunately.
A high beam flashlight, $100 for binoculars.
Yeah.
I haven't bought a binocular.
Also, if you're wondering, the M314 motion tracker is the more bulky thing. That's what the Colonial Marines usually used. Well, no, actually,
Neurovisor.
that's the one from Alien. The M316 is the one I think from Aliens.
Oh,
Although,
Neurovisor. Oh, that's from Prometheus.
yeah,
Allowing you to view their dreams.
I'm not interested in that pile of shit.
Doesn't make sense.
You want to know? You want to know why the dream analysis garbage was in Prometheus? It's because in one of the original, basically Prometheus is Ridley Scott huffing his own farts as he roots through the garbage of the original Alien project, because he stole so many assets and ideas from that.
Oh, an autodoc.
Oh yeah, that's also from fucking Prometheus, unfortunately.
But you know what? It does make sense. I did like that scene. That was a very tense scene.
Also, it makes sense because there is the medical bay in the Nostromo, which clearly has an auto dock. Also, it's supposed to have
Yeah,
one. So yeah.
and also because they say in the movie it's only for a male. The woman's trying to get essentially a
Which, in my opinion, is
cesarean section.
pretty brain dead. You would think it wouldn't be that expensive to make one for females as well, like like unisex. Kind of
Possibly,
brain dead.
but
It's
I like
supposed
it
to
for the
hint
ten.
that the bad old age of makeup man is in there, but like, come on.
But I do like it because now the doctor quickly has to think, okay, how do I get a cesarean section done for a man?
Oh yeah, Pauling med pods. These are what you see, I believe, in the first Alien movie. Autodocs were kind of the prototype. The problem is the Autodocs looked more modern than the med pod.
Mm.
That's the biggest problem with Prometheus. It just looks too. I don't
Oh
care that
wait, no,
it's
is
like
the
a massive company investment. This would be like the equivalent of having 1940s technology look much more modern and have more efficiency than the fucking 70s. Like, you get what I mean and how that sounds really fucking stupid?
yep. So pharmaceuticals, drugs, never sleep pills, fast acting supplement that keeps you going well past your bad time. Oh, so
Also, hydration, which you use to remove, because hypersleep can dehydrate you.
also straight up caffeine pill.
It's electrolyte. Also, nap relief, which
It's
is injectable instant pain
what
reliever.
it's electrolytes. It's what plants crave.
I'm just now envisioning you go to a small frontier colony where they legitimately put hydration into the water sprinklers, and they're like, why are we not growing plants?
And it has no side effects. Also, never sleep pills. Warning: excessive use can cause stroke or heart attack. Please consult your doctor and further, or whatever they do with those commercials.
I think that is something. Yeah, yeah, that is something that could happen.
Well, no. The reason why they do that is so they can get that all those medical information in before the commercial ends.
The funniest thing is the only other nation that actually forces them to do that is New Zealand.
Hmm.
New Zealand has very similarly weird medical commercials like, warning, this thing that is designed to improve your, like, warning, this antidepressant can actually make you suicidal.
Naproleve, an injectable instant pain reliever for all strains.
Soma. It's also very addictive. Why do you think I mentioned that? Isn't it great that your corporate agent gets this as one of
I don't know
your
if
things?
it's Soma, it's morphine.
It's morphine and Soma.
Recommended for use during any self-inflicted cesarean performed to extract a conventional fetus from your womb. So that
Yeah.
is a Prometheus reference.
Yeah, I mean, I hate it, but it's still
But at
funny.
the same time, I'd love it if on the commercial for Naproleve they do recommend for use if you're doing your own personal cesarean section. And then recreational drugs, get wrecked, cannabis, tobacco, certain doses of steroids, benzodiazepines, and methyladoxaphethylamine
Methamphetamine, yeah.
are all legal drugs described by recreational use by corporate physicians.
Don't you like
Use
how
your
they legalized meth and you can now get them at the corporate dispensary? Don't you like that?
well, it's five. Oh, it's 5 packs for cigarettes. So they got rid of those cigarette taxes,
Well,
and
that's because
six
they legalized meth, which is the big money maker.
they 6 for kilo of benzos
Yeah.
or benzoylgonine.
I'm just now envisioning someone creates a character, you just see them take the whole kilo and they just scream, I'm so wasted, as they OD and nearly die before getting in the medical pod.
And I'm wondering this. You know how if you take drugs, it can affect the pregnancy? What if you do that for an alien? You just smoke a lot of cannabis and it comes out just completely wasted.
You're joking, but this leads to the greatest silly horror idea that I've ever seen as a concept. Instead of cocaine bear, it's meth alien.
Its mouth tongue has lost all its teeth as well.
And you like, no, you see a bit where or it's like Adderall alien, like where a dude is abusing Adderall to focus. The alien rips. So you see like the alien 3 days later covered like the walls are covered in its blood, etching in like it's like etching in weird nonlinear equation functions that make no sense to only it. Like
But take
accidentally it discovers a new form of physics.
X drugs. There are more extreme drugs out there that most ethical corporations keep off their colonies. It's increased strength, endurance, and the senses, but come with severe side effects such as hallucination, seizures, psychosis, and
Oh yeah, the Colonial Marines, by the way, dabble in this. They're basically what did they call meth originally? Uh, Wake pills or
meth.
something? No, like they had a term for it. It wasn't no go. It was like the opposite of no go.
Take a kilo of drugs, scream over comms, pass out on the way to medical. SS-13 in a nutshell.
Yeah, don't you like how you can totally do an SS-13 game with this? That's one of my favorite things about this RPG. You can legitimately kind of fabricate and make stuff out of it. Also, food and drink. You get free prefab meals, water bottles, bug juice protein drink, which includes food and water.
So I need to read what the descriptions of the food and drink are. So
Sure.
prefab, flesh frozen rations
Yep.
include pastas, cereals, freeze-dried vegetables, stews, meatloaf, and something resembling cornbread.
I love that Aliens reference.
Corporations make their employees pay for these prefab meals, despite the fact that there are few, if any, other choices, and the workers are in space on company time.
Yes, you have
So
to pay for it. This is actually something that is actually kind of described in not in the original Alien, but in Aliens. There is a scene where you would have seen Carter Burke actually like pay money by putting it into a vending machine so he can get donuts, and he would try to hand one to Ripley.
I mean, a donut
Also, there was a
vending
line
machine
in that
sounds
original
nice.
script. There was a line in that script where Ripley takes a look at it and goes, "Do you even notice any difference between them?" No, but I like the colors a bit. I like how they have different colors.
So water, $2 for shipboard water that is ration cloudy recycled taste metallic, $10 for purified water.
Yeah,
Bug juice, high protein caloric drink made from mealworms, roaches, beetles, and all other insects raised on bug farms. You won't eat the bugs, you will drink them.
it's not very good.
Soda and candy bars.
Usually, even like the most out of the way colonies, like even Hadley's Hope actually would get soda and candy bars.
So apparently, Weyland-Yutani grows all of its coffee in Guatemala.
Yes, it does.
Just Guatemala.
Just Guatemala. That way they can keep the price at a certain level.
Colony specialty meals, such as bovine burgers or Tanakan scorpion thorax, to kelp salad and sushi from Bracken's.
So colony
And the beer.
special meals are basically what they had available that they can grow. Also, liquor is very common.
You have your vehicles.
Oh, also, by the way, what beer and booze should do, besides lower stress, is that should also technically count as a food, because you can hypothetically survive by drinking nothing but booze and water. It's just you would want to be dead after a while.
I've been watching videos of Nick Ricato over the last few. No, it does not keep you full.
It doesn't, but you can survive hypothetically. You would just want to be dead.
So vehicles. Dahotai Series 8x8 tractor.
That basically you see that in a cut scene in Aliens, I should say.
Yeah, I think Newt's family is in that one.
Yep.
The Wayland 9R All Series Terrain Series All Terrain vehicle.
You usually see these in more because they're cheap now since they've been replaced. You can get these for pretty cheap. They're pretty useful. The M570 is actually the armored carrier specifically.
The standard armament phase plasma pulse cannon turret, 20mm Gatling gun turret.
Yep.
Paradigm light VTOL automotive gyrocar. The Cheyenne series VTOL tactical dropship.
Which you also saw in Aliens. They even have the because another thing that they did was they would also customize the ship. That one was called Bug Stomper.
Weyland-Yutani suborbital transport sled and crane. Hard life, the stars. So now they're explaining how to live in space.
It's not
So we
fun.
do have we have FTL. It achieves this by displacing the volume of space, preceding a spacecraft, and drawing the vessel with it. So it's wormholes.
Yeah, it plays with wormholes. Prolonged travel at faster than light speed can cause a syndrome in most animals known as neurological distortion disorder.
Means it could still take weeks or even years to travel the whole chartered space. This is modern times. Remember, Ripley was stuck in space for 50 years, and I think she was going somewhat at FTL because she was picked up in like the inner colonies.
She was. Also, she came very close to just expiring. Essentially, the ship's main batteries were almost out by the time the salvage crew ran up, and when the batteries would have went out, the cryo would have went, and yeah.
So hypersleep.
That's a thing that happens for two reasons. In the novelizations which use the script, because they did explain this, it's to save money on oxygen scrubbers. Basically, it's to save money on oxygen scrubbers. It also saves you on, well, it also saves you on just supplies, because you don't need to bring as much food or oxygen or water.
And crew morale.
Yeah.
If you're going to be, because they were on that ship for years.
Yes,
Well,
they
most
were.
of them are on this ship for years. I'd probably go insane.
Yes, they were. But what this game also covers is they made a thing called neurological distortion disorder. Basically, if you're awake while you're going in hyperspeed, while you're going breaking reality, you kind of go insane, a la Geller, kind of a la the Warp.
I don't know. No, it's not the warp. I think it's a reference to a Stephen King
Yes, it
story.
is. It's known as, I think, called the Jaunt.
The
It's
Jaunt.
longer than you think, Dad. It's longer than you think.
Yeah, that's quite terrifying.
So here's what neurological distortion disorder results in. So at -5, there's no effect yet. Let's see the rules. After a number of days of FTL travel equal to the FTL rating of the ship, roll a d6 on the table below. Because for some reason, it causes a distortion effect on human perception. Causes paranoia, epilepsy, psychotic behavior, and other adverse effects. So after a d6, you then, after the same number of days have passed again, roll another additional d1. Keep rolling with the same frequency, adding an additional +1. Stasis offer protections from it. Being abruptly awakened from hypersleep is dangerous. And yes, you can die in hypersleep. It's not common, but it can happen. So the effects are no effects, then paranoia. Something is out to get you. Should be roleplayed. Then epilepsy. You suffer episodes of epilepsy. That'll disturb you for a full turn. Dementia. You rapidly start losing your mind. And then finally, psychosis. There's also attempts to make a newer system called gravity drives. As for chartered space, there's the core systems, those closest to Earth. They are the most prosperous colonies and the playground of the rich. The three worlds and the ISCSC dominate this region. There's the Outer Veil, which is rich in resources. And then there's the Outer Rim, which is where the Americans and UPP were. Then there's the Far Reach, which is mostly uncharted. And then finally the Frontier. Absolute free-for-all. So, living in space. The best long-term solution is to become a frontier colonist. It's not easy. In addition to competency and physical prerequisites, candidates have to endure psychological screening.
I mean, it's the same thing as colonists back during 1500s, 1600s. You're out there for who knows how long.
In
It
some
will take a
cases,
while for people to
generations,
come
yeah.
back. And you're on your own. And unlike in the case of the American colonists, that soil may not be arable.
Oh, in many cases it isn't. Your job is to basically set the ground stages for the next couple hundred years where it becomes more arable. Legitimately, you're building better worlds. The only reason people do that is you get ridiculous paychecks. Like, you get paid very well. And
And
something
most
they found is that it's best to bring family in these kind of scenarios because it helps with morale.
and spaceships.
Yep.
It's lonely, meaning sleeping for months at a time. Since really have personal dynamics. When you spend a few years making cargo runs in hyperspace, you don't age all that much while you're
Yes, they do.
active lives planet side.
Yes, they do. That happened to Ripley. Fun fact:
Well, I mean that.
the person she was weeping over in the image was actually her mother, who died recently during filming. Like, she didn't die during filming, but it was like a relatively recent death.
Also,
So
she
that was
used her
Sigourney
actual.
Weaver's actual reaction. Yeah.
Wow. Even though technically it was her daughter who.
Photo is of her mother, who I believe died. I think even actually of a similar disease. I think it was actually cancer. A year and a half prior to the events of the film. Like, during filming, I mean. Like, it was like a year prior. Space stations are more like habitat. Basically, this is Sevastopol Station.
I do like here. Claustrophobia in the void. People need room to breathe. Space may be vast, but there's just isn't a whole lot of it available in stations. Windows are a commodity. Space stations often have recreation centers that use large monitor projects, breathtaking views of natural vistas. While expensive models include a three-dimensional projection, cheaper, more prolific models use flat-screen video. It
Oh,
reminds
that's
me of
because
a
in the original script for Aliens, that they actually were trying to make three-dimensional holograms. James Cameron just took one look at the idea and said, "Yeah, hell no, we can't get that for the money. We're gonna have to pay for this." So they just put giant flat screen TVs.
it reminds me of a Dutch film. It's called Ad Astra or something like that. But it's a colony ship that's being sent to Mars
Hmm.
that accidentally gets knocked off course slightly, and yeah, there's no way for anyone to pick them up. So it's just over the years as this crew and their past just slowly fall apart.
Yeah, that's not fun.
Things start breaking down. Again, the recreation breaks down, suicides. Yeah, it ends with everyone dead.
Not surprising.
They give
Anchor
an
Point Station is a big deal, mainly because it's a pre-generated area that you can go to. It's essentially a neutral ground.
Acheron, the wooden planet, or
Arceon, actually.
Arceon.
Oh, this is actually from. Oh my God, this is actually one of the scripts from Alien 3.
Acnophobic monastic order.
Yes, the original script for Alien 3, rather than being on a prison planet, it was on a wooden space station generation ship almost.
Oh, while initially dismissed as a cult, the order proved to be dangerous when they used enhanced to crippling credit unions and transsolar corporations alike. So wait, this is Project Mayhem.
Yes.
This is no, it is. They detonated low-yield nukes in metropolitan sectors utilizing electromagnetic pulse to force people to get by without technology.
Yes.
This is fucking Project Mayhem and Alien.
The best part is this is actually from the Alien 3 script. I'm not
The monster.
kidding. This is an actual
Yeah,
Alien 3 script.
I am
Also,
surprised that the.
Chronicles of Riddick: Escape from Butcher Bay was also an Alien 3 script.
I am surprised that they didn't just kill all these cultists because they deliberately destroyed human economy.
They did, but, well, yeah. There's also
Oh
deep
yeah,
space colonies.
that's also because Saint Thomas was the computer genius behind it.
Yep.
Deep space colonies for terraforming, living quarters. In space, no one can hear you snore. In hyperspace, at least. Function before fashion. Clothing is usually overalls, jumpsuit, leather gloves, bomber jackets, ball caps, all in muted colors, and decorating colorful patches and corporate logos.
Yep. Also, luxury Galaxy standards, they're very cramped.
I do like currencies. So most colonies carry a plastic Prism ID card encoded with the owner's thumbprint. There's cold cash, if you want to make a private purchase, and then you have your currencies. The Y is the Wayland County $100 bill.
Has a security hologram imprint of Peter Wayland on its face, which, hey, that's fine.
The Sieg bills, and
Yes.
Blyat coins. In
Yeah.
addition to the United American dollar, the Three Worlds Imperial Yen, the Union of Progressive People's yuan, which I, based on that, would mean that China's part of the Union of Progressive Peoples.
Also, do you like that? Do you like that most of the corporation? Do you like how most of the corporate script is seen as actually more useful than some of the actual dollars?
Yeah. Also, do like how there's no single dollars anymore.
Oh no, there's no point.
Yet I guarantee you, the United American dollar still has the penny.
Yeah, they don't have the $1 bill, but they have the penny.
Work for hire. Let's face it, you're out here for the paycheck and not much. Frontier employment compensation packages include living quarters, standard rations, bonuses, shares, claims, and medical benefits. But brush your teeth, because no one includes dental. Ever.
Yeah. So here's
Is
some
that a
of the
reference?
probably. So the occupations you got are colonial labor, commercial employees, corporate and government offices, law enforcement, military officers, and elite occupations. Your weekly salary is not impressive. Also remember, sometimes you get your payment in shares. As for communications, no one can hear you scream, but you can hear a star scream. Space is noisy. Pulsars, black holes, and other stellar phenomena all produce transmissions on a wide variety of frequencies. Buffers weed out these errant signals, but legitimate transmissions are sometimes lost in the mix. So it's kind of a pain. You have to actually direct your transmissions.
Hmm.
Also, there is
The-
no free press on the frontier. Most journalists are corporate owned, and the few that aren't are either spin doctors for their government or haven't been bought off yet. Propaganda is the norm.
And news are often weeks out of date.
Yeah. Most colonies stop tuning in, something that could potentially be catastrophic if an if an enemy or alien threat were to make its way.
Oh, entertainment. Classic rock and country have seen a resurgence in the outer country.
Yeah, because they're classics.
They're put on disposable cassettes.
Oh, fun
And
fact.
cassettes are back.
Oh, another fun fact. Perchance to Dream. This is fun because one of the things they actually mentioned in the original Alien, which is why Ridley Scott did it in fucking Prometheus, was dreaming is actually a profession. You can make essentially movies because you can record a person's dreams and turn them into something.
Hmm.
So if you were a professional dreamer, you could actually make a shitload of bank.
Most of recreational content on the network exists to promote a company's products and consists of reality shopping networks and glorified corporate propaganda.
Yeah. Funnily enough, in one of the cutscenes from Aliens, you were supposed to see a fake commercial where it would talk about going to the colonies, building better worlds. And it'd be like, well, Joe, I'm going off to the colonies so I could make something better for my life and for my children. Wayland Yutani, building better worlds.
They also have
And
recreational.
openly, they would look completely fake. Like, you know those absolutely artificial, like, fake promos and, like, the actors don't even look remotely like humans? Like, it was supposed
Mm-hmm.
to be that level of cynical.
Oh, entertainment terminals on colony stations, even some ships, provide access for a variety of electronic games.
Yeah?
You have your drugs and drink and religion.
This is a big factor because of Alien 3 and unfortunately Prometheus, but Alien 3 did it too, so I'm okay. Also, Alien Earthhive and a lot of the Alien comics played around with faith.
Well, yeah, that's one thing. I mean, again, a lot of
It's a weird
like,
thing about the Alien franchise that
well,
religion does make its appearance enough that it's kind of an element. It's not the main element, but it's a interesting secondary element you can put in your game.
I mean, like things like For instance, time to do rituals. If you're on a colony that, again, like has a sun that moves very fast, if you're doing a fasting ritual that lasts during the day, if a day is only like a few minutes, how do you deal with that? There's stuff you can explore. They
Oh
do
yeah.
say this, though. In fact, one egg that corporations seem to have been unable to crack is religion. So it's good that religion stands against the corporations.
Well, the thing is, corporations have also tried to attempt to create their own cult because they like the fanaticism that usually new religions give people. So they want to apply that devotion to the company. Corporate reps have actually approached existing religious groups to try to get them to join on side.
So you've got the millenarian doomsayers going. Oh, this is the Alien 3.
Yep. You most commonly find these on prison colonies.
And they say, as such, doomsayers often attract reformed murderers, rapists, but not cannibals, though. Not reformed cannibals. Monastic order of Arceon.
It's a Luddite movement that originated from Earth. They're a big thing.
Right. Practitioners of the Holy Immolation. It's a pacifist group that lights themselves on fire.
Bit of a nod to the protests among Buddhism. And last but not least, this is actually a legitimate antagonist group that was in the Alien comics, the Church of Immaculate Incubation. So this one basically, xenomorphs have a minor pheromonal and psychic ability, which is how they communicate in their hives. Some humans are very sensitive to them, and because Weyland-Yutani actually managed to get a few of them on, I believe it was either a research colony nearby Earth or elsewhere, some of the more sensitive people, those who are natural dreamers, accidentally tuned into the alien hive mind and were essentially used as patsies to form a cult, essentially the proto-gene stealers. Their whole thing is they believe that the aliens are essentially angels, and that the whole chestburster thing is actually you shedding your human form to become one.
Oh, they also believe that the alien creature in Robert Moore's banned book has messianic significance.
Yes, they do.
I did imagine this idea of somehow someone getting captured by this cult, and you have the line of, and God said, or when the angel spoke, he said, "Be not afraid," and then you just see the alien come down.
No, and then it does the creepy thing like in the original Alien, where it actually kind of low-key caresses, if I remember it, low-key caresses, Lambert. And then off-screen you hear screams, and then you just see your mutilated corpse.
Law enforcement. You have the Office of Colonial Marshals, which
a lot of them are corrupt, unfortunately.
Is that an offshoot of the U.S. Marshals, or just?
No, and yes. It's partially a self-appointed sheriff task. Partially it's picked by the companies. Partially it's just picked by not really by nations. It can kind of be any of them. Essentially, it is the lawgiver.
And the United States Colonial Marine Corps, which, again, I feel like this implies that the United Americas have some federal, because they're not the United American Colonial Marine Corps. It is the United States Marines. Unless they're referring to Brazil or Mexico.
They're referring to all of them. It's just, again, it's called United Americas because they've essentially unified.
You got Corporate Security Forces and the Interstellar Commerce Committee.
ICC, yep.
The lockup. When you're done the crime, you gotta do time. Frontier jail facilities include single barred room to sensory deprivation chambers.
Yes, they do.
Spacecraft basics. This is designing spacecraft.
And it's really cool, but we're also approaching 3 hours. I'm willing to do a little bit more just to show off this, but we're probably going to have to call it here. We might do a part 2 if you guys are interested. Are you interested, ImpCit?
I would be.
All right.
Because I'm looking through the armaments, just skipping through the spaceship. I think we might save it for later, but just give a little bit of a teaser. You can have tactical nukes.
Yes, you can. Also, one of the coolest things about designing your ships are they just give you the classes and you can basically go crazy from there. Because what you do is you buy from company and customize to either what your business wants or you basically are handed one by the company.
Oh, that sounds fun.
Because there's different classes. There's the Class Cs, which are the smallest. These are small personal man crews. These are also usually the equivalent of lifeboats. Class Gs, which are much smaller. Class M, which is actually what the Nostromo was, a Class M star cruiser,
Oh,
which,
yeah, I remember that.
yep, its crew can go from 7 to 10. And then last but not least, you got Class Rs. And from there, you can kind of customize as you do. I think actually covering ships will be what we cover next time. Because it's been 3 hours, and like I said, I genuinely. What is your thoughts on actually this? Before I give my thoughts, I almost kind of jumped the gun.
Again, I really like it. It's adaptable to a variety of franchises. It fits the kind of fast paced, intense horror they're going with. Where the stress dive thing is brilliant because you go from this build up, and there's a benefit to being stressed, but then there is a point where no, your stress is going to render you catatonic.
Yeah, like a cascade failure. I actually really like that. It very much kind of is similar to the concept of gambler's fallacy, gambler's ruin, where what happens is stress can be a ally until the very moment you roll a 1 on those stress die, and then everything can just immediately fall to shit.
And the fact that you just need a single success or a single failure.
Also, it uses D6 dice pools. It only uses D6s. It's very easy to just have them on hand in a physical medium. It's pretty easy to understand. The way your character stats are designed are pretty simple. And on top of that, I also like that it very much clarifies the difference between a one-shot and a campaign. It actually gives you different rules for both. Um, like I said, I complained a little bit, mainly because of the stuff that it was kind of contractually obligated to put in. Because again, it came out when Covenant came out. It kind of had to be a thing. But it's
But
really nice that after the timeline and after some of the quotes they kind of artificially put in there, you don't really notice it. And it's actually a really good RPG for aliens. It is a hell of a lot more fun to play than Leading Edge's take, which uses combat tables. Leading Edge's take is really fucking complicated. I would love to one day show you the nightmare that is Phoenix Command. But that would just be pain. That would just be nothing but crunch. It'd be like chewing on it would be like chewing on wood. It would
I'd rather take I'd rather take the jaunt with my eyes open.
You'd rather be awake for the jaunt.
I'd find ways to cope.
Yeah, I mean, you don't necessarily die from the jaunt. You just usually go crazy because it lasts for so fucking long, like literal lifetimes. But Squirrel Killer likes the crunch hell. Like I said, it's not a horrible system. It's just Jesus Christ, it's a flowchart.
I mean, this is not BattleTech. This is Alien. If you're near the alien, you are dead.
So yeah, as for what we're probably going to do next week, we might do a part 2. Hopefully, there were less issues like there were in the beginning of this stream. I do apologize for that. I genuinely am sorry for that. Um, Either that or we could cover some of the other stuff we have available. We could either do like we could do another Warhammer Fantasy book. Hell, we could touch one of the other Black Crusade books. We have a lot of options. I think I might actually put that on a poll.
Yeah, we'll pull this one.
Although, then again, it is Easter Sunday, so it might be another Monday stream because of that. Uh, we'll put a thought on that, but likely it'd be another next stream will likely also be another Monday, just because Easter Sunday. Yeah, that's kind of nuts to do that.
I mean,
As
I'm
for what,
free.
yeah, you're free, but not everyone else will be. I know I'm not. But yeah, like I said, we have a lot of options. Feel free to like and subscribe as you will. Have an excellent night. And just keep in mind that in space, no one can hear you when the alien alarm that is overused with no background to basically make it incorporate naturally blares
Oh, oh.
as the horrible CGI slop xenomorph facehuggers kind of roll out like a liquid out of glass. God, I fucking thought that shot looked bad.
Well, good
Easter
night, everyone.
Mondays, also April Fools. Yeah, we could do a really fun shitpost stream. I don't know what we'd do on that. So, many options. Many doors, Ed boys. See you guys.